Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if 19-year-old Uzumaki Naruto is the most wanted shinobi in the elemental nations. Part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. It's been 3 years since it happened. I had left Konoha all those years ago, a naive fool, but I came back a bona fide killing machine. You gotta give it to Jiraiya. The pervert was an idiot, but he was one hell of a teacher. Kami rest his perverted soul. When I came back, I immediately applied to the Hunter Corps, passed with flying colors, and lo and behold, I was a 16-year-old Hunter Nin. Fuck yeah! Or so I had thought. One S-class mission to kill Orochimaru, and wham! My team was dead. The snake bastard possessed me, and the Kyuubi's powers were somehow under his control. I watched as the fucker killed them. Erosen and Bachan, the rookie 9 Konoha. As a kid, I'd always wanted to be acknowledged, and now I was. Just not in a good hero-like way. More of a "you're famous, let's kill him, boys" kind of way. But what can I say? It's been a good run, well, excluding the first 12 years of my life and any and all interaction with Akatsuki Hunter Corps basic combat training. Those years with the pervert deranked missions, well, fuck me, my life has sucked. Anyway, now I'm on the run from, get this, Konohagakure no Sato, Iwagakure no Sato. Blame daddy for this one. Not like he screwed me over enough, eh? Stupid rock bastards, and fucking Akatsuki. That's 2 of the great 5 villages and the deadliest group of S-class criminals the world has ever seen, all going after little ol' me. I'm so fucking screwed. Speeding through the forest of Wave Country, Naruto grimaced as a flurry of earth's spears decimated the tree he was just on. Damn it! Growled Naruto, before flinging several shuriken behind him. These guys are fucking persistent. A group of around 5 Hunter Nins had followed in Naruto's wake for nearly 5 minutes, sending a wave of metal and jutsu at the retreating blonde. Oh, that's it! Yelled the shinobi, after a kunai flew uncomfortably close to his crotch. You're dead. Naruto turned in one fluid motion, twisting his body, and landed softly on the forest ground. The missing Nin laughed darkly as he hefted Kubikiri Hocho, the former blade of Momochi Zabuza, and held it lightly on his shoulder. The blade had been modified through the soul bonding process, taking on an intimidating new appearance of darkness. The now black sword also had a sinister blood-red kanji 4 fallen etched onto the side. Dressed in a black hooded trench coat, it was left open, exposing his muscled torso and the damaged seal on his navel. Foregoing the headband that once marked him as a Konoha Nin, Naruto let his blonde hair hang down. With black cargo pants, a pair of combat boots, the ninja also paid homage to his 2 senseis, Zabuza and Kakashi, through the black bandages covering the lower half of his face. IWA Hunter Nins, thought Naruto, his eyes taking in the enemy Nin Zitite. At least it isn't Akatsuki. No worries, Gaki, just kill them like I taught ya, said a low voice, chuckling darkly. I want to taste their blood. Still got that blood fetish, Zabuza sensei? Well, what do you expect? I'm a sword, damn it. What am I going to do, fuck a shuriken? Actually, on second thought, that could work. It was previously believed that Zabuza's Kubikiri Hocho was the only blade within the 7 swordsmen that lacked a chakra ability. The real truth of the matter was a small seal hidden on the sword's handle. This seal had only one purpose, to confine the soul of the last true user within the blade in order to teach the next person the art of kenjutsu. And it just so happened that when Naruto had taken the Kubikiri Hocho, Momochi Zabuza, the demon of the mist, had appeared to him. That was one fucked up image, you crazy piece of metal, grimaced the missing Nin, as he kicked a dying hunter off of his sword, Kirigakure no Jutsu. A dense fog quickly materialized covering the surrounding wood. Die, demon! Yeah, that's what I said. Fucking Kyuubi and his immortality, muttered Naruto, as he decapitated another IWA Nin. Something isn't right. There's no way these guys are real Hunter Nins. That means, behind you. Naruto spun backwards, pulling the decapitated body in front of him as a wave of metal cut through the mist. The muffled thuds of various weapons striking the dead body and deflecting off Kubikiri Hocho echoed throughout the mist. Thanks man, said the missing Nin, looking at the mutilated body, before dropping the corpse at his feet. Quickly running through one-handed seals, Naruto mentally thanked Zabuza for teaching him the skill. You're welcome, Futon de Tapa. Finishing the seals, an enormous gust of wind shot out, dispersing the mist in front of him, and sending blades of wind at his attackers. Emerging from the forest was a group of around 3 dozen shinobi, their headbands indicating a joint mission from both Konoha and IWA. The group separated into teams and spread out around the missing Nin, hands blurring through seals as they prepared to attack him. Are you ready to die? Growled Naruto, as the combined bloodlust of Zabuza and it started to pour out of his body in waves. Because I'm not. Malevolent red chakra burst out of the shinobi's body, swirling around him in a demonic maelstrom of energy. Let's get wild. In a crimson flash, Naruto disappeared before reappearing next to a Konoha Nin, a clawed arm through his chest. Another flash and an IWA Nin fell, his arms desperately trying to keep his innards within him. An older IWA Jounin froze in shock at the flash, memories of the past war and a certain other blonde manifesting itself in his mind. Hiraishin? Whispered the shinobi, fear evident on his features. I am possible. Don't worry, whispered a soft voice next to the IWA Nin, this ain't Hiration. A gurgle of blood and a fallen body answered him. It's much worse. Ha! Excellent monologue, my young apprentice. Damn it, Zabuza-sensei. You just ruined a perfectly badass moment there, lamented Naruto, as he dove out of the way of a flaming dragon. Futon, damn it! Yelled Naruto, as a shuriken buried itself in his left arm. Fuck! Savagely ripping the weapon from his arm, the ninja returned the shuriken to its owner. Unfortunately, the Konoha Jounin could not catch with his face. A pity. The demonic ninja then lashed out with incredible speed, his enormous blade ripping into the side of an IWA shinobi, before exiting the other side in a spray of blood. Twisting, the assassin ducked underneath the swinging blade, reversed his grip on the sword and eviscerated the shinobi behind him. In a deafening crash of steel, Naruto blocked a desperate swing of a katana, and lashed out with a fist to the face. The Namikaze frowned at the terror in the Konoha shinobi's eyes, before ramming a kunai through the man's temple. Once upon a time, Naruto would have never willingly killed a loyal Konohanin, but times had changed, emotions had to be locked away. At least this way, killing them reunited the ninjas with their loved ones. It was the least he could do, after all he was the one who'd killed them. 3 years prior, Konoha burned. Unearthly flames danced across the desolate landscape, a clear path of destruction in the wake of a monster. Standing amidst the wreckage, a figure wrapped in malevolent red chakra ripped apart anything that crossed its path. Naruto-kun! Yelled Irika, tears falling across his scarred face at the sight of his adopted brother. Snap out of it. You're stronger than this. Plea. Irk. Coughed the shinobi, blood splattering all over his chunin vest, and the clawed arm sticking through it. The former academy teacher looked up with glazed eyes at his killer, shock evident on his face. Naruto? Crimson-red eyes stared unmercifully at the shinobi. All traces of the once blue-eyed, Hokage-to-be, carefree boy was non-existent. Kyubi gasped the shinobi with his last breath. The demon-possessed shinobi only bared his teeth, in a sick parody of a smile. Ripping his blood-drenched arm from the Chunin-sensei's body, an unearthly chuckle echoed around the devastated landscape, before erupting into maniacal laughter. What have you done? Naruto's body turned towards the voice. Kyubi's eyes gazed upon the kunoichi, and Orochimaru spoke. Having my revenge, of course, Tsunadeheim. End flashback. Shaking the buried memories out of his mind, Naruto felt an ominous presence pass over him. Stretched before the missing nin stood 12 remaining shinobi. 9 of which were slowly and in a synchronized fashion doing hand seals. Snake, boar, ram. The remaining 9 shinobi took defensive positions around the others, desperate to give them the time they needed. Rabbit. Naruto could feel his strength leaving him. The Kubikiri Hocho felt heavy in his hands, and the intoxicating power of the demon slowly turned into a burning feeling of pain. The crimson flash that he used was a demonic shunshin. Using insane amounts of chakra, the technique literally tore a hole through time and space, instantly transporting the ninja. The chakra-intensive jutsu could only be used a few dozen times before the strain of using demonic chakra became too much for the shinobi. On the run for 3 years, fighting nearly 40 jounin and killing more than half was no easy task, and the Nukenin's famed endurance was finally at an end. Dog. Any idea on what jutsu that is, Zabuza? Asked Naruto mentally. No idea, Gaki. But you better do something about it quick. Rat. Summoning the last vestiges of his strength, Naruto channeled his chakra and yelled, Katan, Ryuka no Jutsu. An enormous dragon of pure fire blazed a path straight towards the other shinobi, its strength augmented by the trace amounts of demonic chakra, consumed 2 Konoha before vanishing into steam by a defensive water barricade. Bird. Uzumaki. Naruto quickly burst forward in a crimson flash, the demonic chakra propelling the ninja at impossible speeds. In a deafening crash, the shinobi reappeared, completely destroying the earthen wall that blocked his path. The defending Konoha and IWA nin reacted immediately, lunging at the stricken shinobi, and trying desperately to kill the demon. Horse. Twisting violently, and whipping his blade around at an inhuman speed, Naruto decapitated 2 more shinobi in a single desperate move. Reversing the sword, the Namikaze stabbed backwards, gutting an IWA jounin. Zabuza howled in glee at the blood running down his form. Snake. Naruto roared in agony as a bloody katana tore itself out of his chest. With ragged breaths, Naruto ripped out the offending shinobi's throat before collapsing to his knees. In total synchronization, the 9 shinobi clapped their hands together and yelled out only 2 words. Shiki Fujin. At the edge of his vision, a ghostly figure materialized, and the sickening stench of decay intensified. Death had arrived. To Naruto, death had many different faces. Some wore cloaks covered in clouds, one was a sinister snake, another was a bastard fox, but all were various aspects of death to the Namikaze. Even Tsunade-sama herself was one, the time when Naruto walked in on her topless coming to mind. The wonderful image burned into his brain was only offset by the memory of seeing a light at the end of the tunnel afterwards. However, these faux faces of death paled in comparison to the embodiment of death, Shinigami-sama himself. The death god was visible to Naruto through the powers of the fox, the demonic chakra coursing through his body allowing him to see the ethereal figure. Unnatural fear racked the shinobi's body. He had thought that he did not fear dying, but in the presence of death, he knew his time had come. Kill the demon! Shrieked a Konoha jounin, pointing towards the fallen warrior. The god of the dead, turned towards the surviving 12 shinobi and slowly raised a skeletal arm, palm open, and pointed it at the soldiers. In a terrifying voice that echoed the voices of the damned, the death god spoke. "Come to me." The bodies of the shinobi suddenly collapsed to the floor, white orbs of light shooting out of the corpses before congregating within the outstretched hand of the god. In a sudden manner the skeletal hand clenched into a fist, causing the white orbs to explode into a burst of red and dissipate into space. Naruto shook as he struggled to bring himself to one knee, his wounds and the overwhelming spiritual pressure taking its toll on his body. The Namikaze felt rather than saw the presence of the god appear before him. The black emptiness of the being's eyes gazed into his own violet eyes, penetrating to his very soul. "It is time," reverberated the death god's voice, its arm rising once again. A sharp burst of pain racked his skull, and before he knew it, the Kyuubi no Kitsune took control. "Shinigami-sama, the first task is complete," whispered Kyuubi respectfully. As Naruto watched helplessly in horror, "The guardian is prepared to fulfill his destiny, my lord." "Very well, what is this other presence I sense, Fukateku?" "It is the guardian's Zanpakuto spirit," continued the Kyuubi. "I believe his presence is necessary, lord." "Then it shall remain. It is time." White lightning arced from the god's fingertips towards the shinobi, striking the seal on his stomach, and caused red energy to swirl around Naruto. Archaic symbols materialized in midair surrounding the shinobi, and a howling wind formed around him. Naruto screamed in pain as he felt his body rising in the maelstrom. The moment Kyuubi had relinquished control back to him, the agony his body was going through finally registered in his mind. It was as if thousands of knives were running across his entire body, each digging deeper and deeper by the second. What felt like hours was in reality a few seconds, where his agony-racked mind then realized he was hanging 50 feet in the air. Surrounding him was a cyclone of energy, red, black, and white, a wall all around him rising far into the sky. Underneath, the death god looked up, its skeletal features twisted into a smile, and clenched his fist. A tear in space suddenly appeared under the hanging shinobi, slowly widening into a swirling black portal. With a single command in an ancient language, the swirling maelstrom of power circling Naruto froze, and then shot inwards into the portal. "Go forth, child, or is it back?" chuckled the Shinigami, amused. "Fulfill your destiny, little mortal, and take your rightful place in time, you who have defied gods and demons." The body of Uzumaki Namikaze Naruto fell silently into the black abyss. Thus history was rewritten. Hatake Kakashi had seen many things in his long and illustrious career as a Konoha shinobi. From horrible acts of war, a shinobi who wore green spandex and screamed about youth, all 27 volumes of Ika Ika, which were quickly burned into his mind courtesy of the Sharingan, and a nine-tailed demon fox get its ass kicked by a man and a toad. So when a black vortex appeared mid-air and dropped a body in front of Team 7, he wasn't as surprised as one would think. His team, however, was a different story. "Ike, Okami! Did you see that, Kakashi-sensei? Did ya? Did ya?" The air went whoosh. Then that guy hit the ground like Shibum. "And is that a sword? Doesn't that look like Nobrow's sword? It's so big and black." Ike, but then Irika-sensei is all like eat your vegetables, and I'm like no way. Vegetables are for losers. Like Sasuke, and then Irika-sensei got all mad and scary looking so. Ike, it was times like these, where the former Umbu captain wondered what the hell he was smoking when he passed this team. Sighing mentally, the shinobi pulled out a kunai and spoke to his team in a forceful tone. "Team 7. Execute Plan Tango Oscar Romeo Alpha." Why would we look for Tora here and wave, Kakashi-sensei? "Iki Kubaka. That's the plan where we tactically organize a return attack, you idiot." Kakashi resisted the urge to stare at the pink kunoichi incredulously. The plan was to create a defensive formation and wait for further orders, not to tactically organize a return attack, though he had to admit, the acronym wasn't half bad. "Stay here, and be quiet," hissed Kakashi, as he slowly made his way towards the body. Lying in the middle of the road was a blond man, dressed in what appeared to be a ragged black sleeveless trench coat and shinobi pants. Reaching the side of the body, the former captain quickly laid his kunai across the unconscious man's throat and proceeded to search the body. The ninja's one visible eye widened as he pulled out two separate forehead protectors, one slashed from mist, and another from leaf. Looking over the blood-covered shinobi, Kakashi couldn't shake the feeling that he knew the man before him. Pulling down the black bandages covering the unknown's face, Kakashi gasped at the face underneath. Lying before him was a carbon copy of his former sensei, the Yondaime Hokage. The shape of the nose, the angles of his cheekbones, the whisker marks. Whisker marks? Kakashi did a double take, as there were indeed whiskers on the shinobi, 6 jagged scars that ran across the man's cheeks. "Well shit, what was that, Kakashi-sensei? Did ya find out who that guy is? Is he a bandit?" "No, wait, I know. He's an assassin here to stop me from becoming Hokage. May the Father of Understanding guide me. Let me at him, sensei. I'll teach him to mess with the great Kizuma Yuzu," froze the young blonde, his sapphire eyes widening in shock. "Kakashi-sensei? Who is that?" The other members of Team 7 looked in shock at the similarities between the unknown Nin and their own resident idiot. Could this be some long-lost relative of Naruto's? "Get back, We don't know if he's dangerous. The bloody shinobi's eyes snapped open, and all hell broke loose. Inside Mindscape, 3 minutes prior, Uzumaki Namikaze's Naruto woke up suddenly, flailing his body around, sending the sewer water he was laying in through the air. Breathing rapidly, the shinobi took note of his surroundings. It was the decrepit labyrinth that was his mindscape. Great trudging through the dark water, Naruto slowly made way towards the prison that contained the Kyuubi, his hands shaking slightly after the events he just experienced. Vice Captain? The Kyuubi was the death god's right-hand man? Demon? Lover? Naruto winced. He must have hit his head harder than he thought to think that a massive fox demon and skeleton could possibly engage in sexual intercourse unless, of course, the Kyuubi used its tails to hold the death god down and then tried to skull Fu. BB blasphemy. I have never in all the millennia of my existence. I should kill you where you stand. Roared the Kyuubi no Kitsune, you damnable flesh bag. You are lucky Shinigami-sama himself favors you, or your pitiful excuse of a soul would be ripped into little bite-sized morsels. Naruto stared blankly at the Kyuubi no Kitsune, who continued to rant, and wondered why he was in hell. Surely if the Kyuubi no Kitsune was out of his cage, and the raging pacing demon that was smashing down sewer walls was indeed out of his cage, then there was no way he was still alive. Naruto wondered if there was ramen in hell. Ramen. He hadn't had ramen in forever. But if ramen was the food of the gods, then it couldn't possibly exist in hell. The shinobi moaned softly. And that little mortal is why you are in your past. Say what? Questioned Naruto as he tried to focus on the demon. For some reason there seemed to be 3 demon foxes and so many pretty tails. Oh, for Kami's sake, complained the fox, before it sent a burst of red chakra at the shinobi, healing the massive head trauma that was affecting the shinobi's mind. Better no? Yeah, now what's this about my past, fox team? Questioned Naruto, his mind much clearer than it was prior. I will keep it short and simple. You damn idiotic monkey, your destiny is to be both the protector and the protected. Fate has decreed in all her wisdom, the drunken bitch, that the chosen one, aka you, must be trained by the guardian, which ironically is also you. Hence, the wonderful world of time travel. What the hell? The shinobi way of life is on the brink of destruction. With world-ending consequences as guardian, you will need to protect and guide the chosen one, whose decisions will determine the fate of the world. The chosen one, who if not lead on to the correct path, will spell the destruction of the world as you know it. Sure, life will return eventually, but it's such a pain in the ass, rambled the fox, waving its 9 tails for emphasis. Like when old Rex and Trice went and got themselves killed by that damned flying rock. I hadn't. Kyuubi. I mean, sure, Rex kept trying to eat Trice, but they were good pets, albeit sort of stupid, and they. Kyuubi. Besides, the sheer complexity of creation and trying to balance out thousands of delicate ecosystems is, to be honest, beyond me, and we probably have to outsource. Hey bastard, that's Lord Bastard to you, so said the shinobi, speaking as if to a child. Basically, what you're saying is that the Shinigami sent me to the past, to train my chibi self, in order to save the world as we know it, all because fate said so? Well, if you want to put it that way, yes. Oh shit. Indeed, said the Kyuubi, settling haughtily onto his haunches, there is also the matter of the space-time continuum and potential world-ending paradoxes. First, and most important, is for you to never engage in sexual intercourse with your younger self. WW what? You disgusting bastard! Spluttered Naruto, outrage evident on his face. I'm not gay, nor am I attracted to myself. Revenge is sweet, is it not? In all seriousness, no one can be made aware of your blast to the past. Since time travel is a relatively unexplored venue, Shinigami-sama has decided it is better safe than sorry. Second, you can no longer be Naruto. Since you are literally identical to your younger self, it is paramount that we establish a difference in the two, hence the name change, said Kyuubi. A new name? Repeated Naruto, hesitant to relinquish the name he was born with. Yes, I'm particularly fond of Flesh Sack Meatbag II. Funny. Would I still be able to be a Namikaze? Since your younger self does not go by the name, it should be adequate. Politically, the last name should give you a measure of power within the village, and a connection to little Naruto in the eyes of the Hokage. Fine then, how about, wondered Naruto out loud, his eyes narrowed in thought. Zaraki? Namikaze Zaraki. It gives off that I'm awesome vibe. PFFFTTT, a boring but sufficient name. Your relation to the Yondaime, as a Namikaze, can be explained as you being his younger half-brother. Genetically your blood will confirm this. You of course must tread carefully with this statement. Hi, acquiesced Naruto. The rest of the trivialities can be discussed later. Right now you need to wake up and confront the scarecrow. Got it now, fuck off, fox. My sentiments exactly, meatbag. Naruto felt himself ripped away from his mindscape, and into the world of the living. Then he opened his eyes. Flashback end. The unknown shinobi's eyes snapped open. Twisting violently, the blonde pushed the kunai from his throat and rolled sideways. Caught off guard, Kakashi flipped backwards and placed himself in front of Team 7. Identify yourself, barked Kakashi, prepared to take on this new threat, though the other ninjas seemed bewildered and disoriented. The 1 second K? Said the shinobi, rubbing his temples. That technique hurt, you know. Ah, said the copy nin, as he discreetly motioned to his team. Naruto nodded briskly before making a dozen clones, while Sasuke and Sakura pulled out their kunais and flanked their sensei. Your name? Ned Zaraki. Namikaze Zaraki, said the blonde, his violet eyes scanning the four Konoha nin. Am I correct in assuming you are Hatake Kakashi, Konoha's illustrious copy nin? Why yes, stuttered Kakashi, examining the supposed Namikaze. The former ANBU captain wondered at his relation to his sensei. Perhaps a distant cousin? No, he seemed too similar. Perhaps nephew or brother? What was that technique that dropped you, Zaraki-san? I'm not sure. It sent me here from IWA. Wherever here is, said Zaraki, gesturing around. I ran into a group of crazy nin, psycho bastards, caused that technique hurt like a bitch. You're in the outskirts of Wave Country, near the border of the Land of Fire, said Kakashi. What are your intentions, Zaraki-san? To stay the hell away from IWA, chuckled Zaraki, before wincing at the pain it caused. I think I'll probably search out the nearest medic nin or hospital in all seriousness. Paused Kakashi. His instincts were screaming at him to trust the shinobi, but his experience as a battle-hardened veteran told him otherwise. What a dilemma. Kakashi looked closer at the shinobi. His body, while injured, was tense and ready to strike. This man was no rookie genin. Instead, he held himself more like a veteran jounin. To what village do you owe your allegiance? You ask a lot of questions at Kakashi-san? I'm a freelancer. My home village was destroyed, though my teachers were once part of the Great Five. Leaf and Mist? Hi, said Zaraki, wincing. The headbands belong to Irika-sensei and Zabuza team. Speaking of Zabuza, hey, do you know what happened to my sword? It's kind of big, you can't miss it. Here it is, Namikaze-san, whispered the small orange-clad ninja, staring intently at Oldanin as he gestured towards the missing sword. Ah, thank you, Shinobi-san, said Zaraki, eye smiling at his younger self. So you wouldn't happen to be my long-lost twin or something, would you? Long-lost twin, my furry ass. Uzumaki Naruto, future Hokage, shouted Naruto, although it seemed to be said with less enthusiasm than normal. Akage? A very worthwhile goal, Naruto-kun. With your bloodline you're sure to succeed, said Zaraki, scratching the back of his head. Bloodline? Huh. Naruto doesn't have a Kekai Genkai, questioned Sakura. He's just a clanless orphan, right? Sakura, hissed Kakashi, noticing the darkening looks of both Naruto and Zaraki. The whiskers are evidence alone of Naruto-kun's and my bloodline. It allows for advanced regeneration, and is only unlocked by a situation where one should have died, explained Zaraki to Naruto and the rest of Team 7. You're not bad at bullshitting out of your ass, meatbag. But Zaraki-san, Naruto Baka has had whiskers forever, said Sakura, while Sasuke and Ned in agreement. Zaraki stayed silent. Looking into Naruto's eyes, he nodded tersely, acknowledging the danger he had gone through. Well, seeing as we may have found Naruto a relative, what say you, Zaraki? Would you care to join us on our way to Konoha? The medical facilities there should greatly help in the healing process, and is a mere 3 hours away, said Kakashi. His invitation to the supposed Namikaze was a potentially dangerous move, but he felt relatively confident he could handle the injured shinobi in case of an emergency. Hi, I'd appreciate that. Zaraki dusted himself off and grabbed his sword off the forest ground. Team 7 relaxed from their defensive positions and looked at the missing nin, waiting on him. What the fuck was that shit? Where the fucking 9 hells were you? How dare you leave me lying on the ground like some hunk of metal? No respect, I tell you. 4.5 years of training, and for what? To be left out in the elements like worthless trash, roared Zabuza mentally. Relax, Zaza-sensei, said the Namikaze mentally. I've got some insane news for ya. What the hell is going on? Crazy shit, sensei. Crazy fucking shit. In all his years as a shinobi, Sarutobi Hiruzen, the Sandaime Hokage, had never witnessed a greater ninja than that of Namikaze Minato. The Yondaime was simply a genius, and had more natural talent than he himself ever had. In all honesty, the Sandaime was not afraid to admit that the Namikaze could have defeated himself in his prime, and he had made Hokage at 13. Then Minato-kun died. Died for his village, his people, and his family. Damn the Kyuubi. Minato had so much in front of him, the support of his village, a loving wife, and a newborn son. Alas, it was not to be. Sarutobi sighed at the thought of young Uzumaki Naruto. He was potential incarnate, he had the pedigree, the drive, and the chakra capacity to surpass his father, and yet Konoha, the village he loved with all his being, suppressed and hated the boy. It was ridiculous the lengths people had gone to hinder young Naruto. Puffing on his pipe, Sarutobi was content to think about the hyperactive blonde. Naruto's actions and innocence brought a smile to the wizened man's face. It truly was a relief from the killers that surrounded him. If only he could give more attention to the blonde, he owed him at least that. A soft knock at the door of his office yanked the Sandaime from his ruminations. Enter. Yumino Irika, Konoha Chunin, and currently on mission duty, entered with a worried expression on his face. Lord Hokage, said Irika respectfully, slamming his right fist across his chest in the Konoha salute. Jounin Hatake Kakashi has sent a priority message from Wave. Really? Said the Hokage, gazing out towards Konoha. What is the message, Hokage-sama? The message, it seems to be encoded. I am not sure what it means, but it is as follows. Possible code orange. Prepare test. Danger high. Threat low. ETA 3 hours. The Hokage's eyes widened. Send for the chief doctor at Konoha General, tell him to report to me and to prepare for a genealogy test, ordered the Sandaime. Now. Hi Hokage-sama. The Hokage rubbed his temples in frustration. So much for porn. So what's Konoha like, kid? It's great, Namikaze-san. There is shrimp ramen and there are so many nice people, and there's miso ramen, and Iruka-sensei, and beef ramen, and the old man, and pork ramen, and shouted Naruto, a large grin plastered on his face. I'm going to be Hokage. Naruto. Only the best becomes a Kage. You're just a dead last. If anyone will become Hokage, it's going to be Sasuke-kun. He was the rookie of the year, shouted Sakura, hearts in her eyes. Right, Sasuke-kun? Sasuke looked at his fangirl with contempt. It wasn't right to bash one's dream, even if the idiot probably wouldn't become Hokage. Why couldn't he have gotten someone quiet on his team, like the bug user or the Hyuga? Or better yet, some ramen weight, HNN. See? Even Sasuke-kun agrees. Zaraki stared at his childhood crush. This proved it. He was officially an idiot. Zaraki had no idea how this annoying little girl, could be the same badass kunoichi she was in the future. The villagers must have knocked him around harder than he could remember. Eventually Sakura would be tolerable, scary strong actually, so it shouldn't be too long before she starts to grow up. Hopefully. Speaking of maturing, his younger self seemed different than how he remembered. Much more subdued, very observant. Perhaps he was going through puberty? It was odd how much of his genin years were blocked in his mind. Damn it, there should be some kind of time travel law that gave the traveler perfect recall and a calendar with conveniently circled important events. That would be awesome, as if time travel wasn't cliched enough, Gaki. Bah, why couldn't we have gone to some alternate universe or something? You know, a post-apocalyptic world filled with zombies, mutated creatures, and vaults? Or maybe somewhere with pirates? A world filled with pirates, that'd be fucking amazing. I would totally slaughter them and settle once and for all ninja superiority. Stupid pirates, thinking they're so dash. So what about you, Zaraki-san? What's it like where you're from, huh? Asked Naruto, unknowingly interrupting the nonsensical rambling of his future self semi-sane sensei. Call me Zaraki kid, never was one for the formalities, said Zaraki, the ninja easily keeping pace with Team 7. What's it like where I'm from? Oh, it was a nice village, relatively large, but not very well known. The older Naruto frowned at the memories of his old home. It had been years since he had thought of them, and now, he'd be entering the Konoha of his childhood. Would he be able to handle it? The bodies, the blood, his comrades, would he be able to make a difference? Then do something about it, brat. What kind of apprentice of mine fucking whines like a bitch? We're in the past, damn it. Fix it. Or were you just gonna spend your time moping? Roared Zabuza. Haku was fucking manlier than you, and he wore a dress. Namikaze Naruto rolled his eyes at his sensei. Figures such a vulgar speech would do the trick. Zabuza was right though, the bastard nearly always was. Damn straight. Riki? What was that, Naruto-kun? I sort of lost track for a moment there. Ak? You're just like Kakashi-sensei. I asked if we had any family in your village? Said Naruto softly, his cerulean eyes glistening with hope. Zaraki sighed. No, I was an orphan. Oh, Zaraki-san, may I ask what happened to your village? I seem to recall you saying it was destroyed? Asked Kakashi, who had been listening very closely to the two blondes' conversation. They were murdered. Sasuke's eyes shot open, and the young ninja glanced curiously at the former missing nin. Ah. My apologies, Zaraki-san, said the copy nin awkwardly. It was common knowledge that in the last Shinobi War, dozens of villages had been wiped off of the map. Zaraki seemed old enough that his village could have been one those lost during the war. Hell, take Yuzushiogakure no Sato for example. Most didn't even know it ever existed. Well, what do you know? We're here. The massive walls of Konoha towered over the four Shinobi, a stark reminder of the Leaf Village's power. Sounds of village activity echoed inside the walls, and the younger members of Team 7 relaxed at finally being home. Halt! Who goes there? Hailed a Chunin on gate duty. Team 7 under Hatake Kakashi with guests, replied Kakashi, rolling his eyes at the formalities. Probably a rookie Chunin, by the looks of it. Personally, he preferred Kotetsu and Izuma. His old subordinates were much more relaxed. Identification? Team 7 handed over their brand new identification cards as Zaraki looked at his former village with some trepidation. Thank you, Kakashi-san, said the Chunin respectfully. The Hokage requires your immediate presence along with Uzumaki Naruto, and the Chunin looked pointedly at the fourth member of the group. Namikaze Zaraki at your service, said the Namikaze, his eyebrow raised in amusement at the shinobi's shock. He'd forgotten how much Konoha respected the Yondaime. IWA, on the other hand, would probably attack him on sight. Crap. Maybe he shouldn't have gone with Namikaze? Oh well, too late now. Nana Namikaze? I mean, Namikaze-san, the Hokage would also like to see you. Hi, well come on then. Let's go, shouted Naruto, smiling broadly. I've got to introduce ya to the old man Hokage. The hyperactive ninja bounced up and down with excitement, causing nearby villagers to look at him with disgust. Naruto said, Kakashi, why don't you calm down, and lead Zaraki-san to the Hokage? Alright. Come on, uncle cousin guy with the face. I'll get you there in no time. Believe it! Zaraki smacked himself in the face with his palm. He was such a fucking idiot. You got that right, dumbass. No argument here, Ak. Who said that? It is I. Kyubi no Kitsune. Destroyer of civilizations, conqueror of the known world. A mere flick of my tail raises mountains and floods the land. I am the incarnation of fire, greatest of the tail beasts. Bow down to me, Ba. You call that an introduction? I am Momochi Zabuza, demon of the mist. I have bathed in the blood of my comrades and enemies alike. Ranked third in the Seven Swordsmen, only 2 surpass my skill with the blade. So bring it on, you fucking fox. I'll kill you, you. Kill me? Questioned Kyubi incredulously. I am the 4th most powerful being in existence, and you dare challenge me? Ha! You're ranked 4th, I'm ranked 3rd. Top that, what? That makes no sense. How about I destroy your very essence and make it so you never existed? Wouldn't that mean that I don't exist now, if you plan on erasing my existence? Not necessarily, since you obviously still exist. That means I haven't destroyed you yet. True, but if you did decide to destroy me in the future, wouldn't that eliminate my current existence now? Then that would mean you couldn't destroy me later, since I'd no longer exist? Yes, but the world doesn't operate on a single timeline. It wouldn't be possible for me to destroy you in the future and have it erase you now. It doesn't make any sense. Well, if what you say is true, then wouldn't that imply the existence of multiple realities and worlds? I can't be entirely erased from my existence, since I'm obviously alive, sort of, and that of course would mean you're full of shit. What? You heard me. I'll kill you. Bring it the fuck on. Zaraki shook his head and rubbed his temples softly. It was bad enough when there was only one voice in his head. Now there were 2 of them. Are you okay, Zaraki-san? Asked Kakashi, tilting his head sideways. Do you need assistance? I'm fine, Copy-nin. No worries here, are we almost there? Yup, we're here. Giggled Kakashi, reading his book. In front of them was the Hokage Tower, headquarters of the Konoha Shinobi. Young Naruto stood in front, bouncing on his toes with excitement. Standing behind him in red and white robes was the Sandaime. Zaraki gasped, then winced with pain. The Sandaime looked exactly how he remembered, and his heart lurched painfully. Hokage-sama, barked both ninjas, Kakashi slamming his fist in salute, and Zaraki bowed down deeply. Come, let us go to my office. So Namake's Zaraki, isn't it? Hi, Hokage-sama. The 4 shinobi were crowded inside the Sandaime's office. Zaraki looked at his companions. Kakashi was reading his book, and his younger self was glancing at him and the 4th's portrait. His narrowed eyes and confused expression definitely meant he was making some sort of connection. Your presence comes to me as a surprise. I had thought the Namake's clan had died out. Could you tell me perchance who your parents were? I do not know, Hokage-sama. I was found by the body of my mother when I was one on the outskirts of Iwa. I only know my true name from the necklace I was wearing, said the time traveler with a straight face. It was only because of Ero-sensei's training that he was able to lie so believably. Ha! The old I don't know who my parents were and my only clue has my name on it cliché. You could have done better. In fucking deed. The whole tragic hero gig is pathetic. You should have gone with a bloodier explanation. Like enemy ninjas savagely tore your parents apart, and in a fit of rage you ripped them apart. And now you're traveling the lands looking for revenge. You're not bad for a mortal Zachan. What did you call me, you overgrown rabbit? Why, you insolent little. Paused the Hokage. Would you mind taking a blood test during your stay in Konoha? Your resemblance to both little Naruto and the Yondaime is uncanny. Hey! Why are you calling me little old man? I'm a shinobi. Not a little kid! Shouted Naruto indignantly, entering the conversation for the first time. Yes, you are Naruto, laughed the Hokage benevolently, ruffling the short blonde's hair. It would be fine, Hokage-sama. Well, since you're here, Naruto, would you mind taking Zaraki-san to the hospital? Consider it a mission. Got it, old man. You can count on your successor to get it done. Shouted Naruto, jumping to his feet. Come on, cousin dude with the sword. Follow me. The orange-clad ninja promptly threw himself out the window, laughing crazily. Zaraki smiled at his younger self's antics, and jumped after him. Wait up, Gaki. What are your impressions of him, Kakashi-kun? The illustrious Copy-nin lowered his smut and sighed softly. He's hiding something. Really? And what gave you that impression? Questioned the Sandaime, puffing thoughtfully on his pipe. You didn't see him with just Team 7, sir. He was completely at ease with our presence. It was almost as if he felt he had nothing to fear. But the moment we reached the outer walls, he became extremely tense. Like he was about to be attacked. Is he a threat? I don't think so, Hokage-sama. He's definitely dangerous, Jounin at the very least, but I don't believe he is a threat to Konoha. I'm not sure how, sir, but I trust him. It makes no sense, sir, but I do. Very well then. I hereby assign you and Team 7 to assess both the character and intentions of Namikaze Zaraki. If he proves to be as trustworthy as you believe, then we will start the assimilation process to bring him into our ranks. If not, understood, Hokage-sama. Dismissed. The wizened old man watched silently as one of his top shinobi disappeared in a swirl of leaves. Turning towards the back window, which highlighted the setting sun on his village, the Hokage signaled for his hidden ANBU to come out. 6 shadows detached themselves from the walls. He noticed you. This will be an S-class mission. barked the Hokage. I hereby relieve all of you of your positions as my ANBU honor guard, and reassign you to watch duty. Is that understood? Sir, yes, sir. Your target is Namikaze Zaraki. Do not be spotted, and relay all info you gather to me personally. Understood? Sir, yes, sir. If he becomes a threat, eliminate him. Sir, yes, sir. Disperse. The wizened old Hokage watched silently as the 6 elite shinobi shot out of his office. The 6 were some of his most trusted shinobi, and each held an impressive mission success record. They would be perfect for the job. Turning back towards the village below him, Sarutobi lit his pipe and puffed on it softly. The sun had almost set across the horizon, its rays sending an orange glow around the village. The Hokage smiled at how the color made him think of Naruto-kun and his youthful exuberance. Namikaze Zaraki, you seem almost too good to be true. For Naruto-kun's sake, I dearly pray you are the genuine article, whispered the Sandaime to himself. The boy needs a family. An anchor. A guardian. Far away, on an obsidian throne, the Shinigami laughed. You know the drill, kids. We hit the target hard and we hit him fast. Intelligence says we should encounter minimum resistance, so expect a lot of hard contact and for shit to hit the fan, growled a low voice. The heavily armed ninja crouched in front of his team. Spread out around him were 14 more shinobi, their masks indicating them as Umbu, and the insignia of an eagle tattooed on their forearms marked them as Hunter Nin. Isn't that how it always is? Complained one of soldiers. Damn straight. Remember, in and out. If we can't take down the target quick enough, we're dead. This is an S-class mission, and Hokage-sama thinks this is the perfect time to strike. Tora, how long is our window going to be up? The aforementioned Tora cocked his head to the side and shrugged his shoulders. 1 minute max. And that's if we're lucky, sir. A genjutsu of this caliber is going to be hard to hold, especially on the target. Chances are, sir, he's going to notice it seconds after it goes up. Understood. We'll need every second, Inu. I want charges set around the facility. If this goes south, I want to bring the whole place down on the bastards. Consider it done, drawled Inu lazily. Alpha Squad, you'll be leading the insertion. Bravo and Charlie will be on support. Delta, you'll be in charge of securing our exit strategy, while Echo is our rear guard. I know this isn't how we usually operate, but this isn't our run-of-the-mill missing ninja, continued the commander, slamming his fist into his palm. This is Orochi fucking Maru we're up against, so I don't want to see any heroics. Keep to your assignments, and we'll all go home tonight. You got that? Sir, yes sir. Got it, Chief. The bastard is as good as dead. Alright, let's move out. The assembled group of ninja quickly split into smaller groups, and sped toward the perimeter of the target base. The facility was inconsistent with the target's normal bases. Nestled in one of the few wooded areas in the country, the base was believed to be the only above-ground fortress associated with sound. The basic layout hinted at the beginnings of an actual village, with small 3 towers arranged in the middle, and a much larger tower in the middle of them. Around the north and eastern sections the beginnings of several buildings could be seen, but they remained unfinished. Contacts. 3. Chun invests. In the courtyard, permission to engage? Take him out. 3 shadows appeared behind the unaware team, before brutally and simultaneously snapping their necks. Dragging the bodies onto the side, the team positioned themselves next to a door on the target building. The massive tower loomed ominously above them. Tangos down. Alpha in position. Area secure. Got it, Alpha. Bravo and Charlie moving into support. Prepare to breach. Understood. Breaching in 3, 2, 1. A small explosive seal went off, and the 3 groups of ninja poured into the room, weapons ready. Clear left. Clear right. The 9 shinobi moved warily through the deserted reception area. The darkened room showed no sounds of life, and the footsteps of the soldiers echoed softly around them. This is Delta Squad reporting in. Western sentries are eliminated. Exit strategy is secure. Be aware, rearguard just reported incoming troopers, 2 platoons worth. Coming in fast, ETA in 5, son of a fucking bitch. Tora, I'm changing your orders, take Delta and Echo, and slow the bastards down. We'll handle the target ourselves, whispered the commander harshly into his radio. But sir, stow it, soldier. Don't worry about us, besides, we've got Kitsune with us. If he's not enough firepower, then I don't know what is. We'll be fine. Move it, Tora. Understood, sir. We're Oscar Mike. Kitsune clenched his fists nervously as he worked his way around the inside wall of the tower. He had a bad feeling about this. Motioning to the only Hyuga in the group, the commander silently pointed to the upper levels and signed a question mark. Activating his Byakugan, the branch member Hyuga took a staggered step backwards before yelling, "Ambush!" Oh sure. Flung from the shadows, a hail of deadly steel crashed into the group, forcing Kitsune to the ground. The skewered body of his commander sprawled lifelessly on top of him. Die, motherfucker! Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. A massive horde of masked ninja burst into existence, hurtling their bodies forward into the ambushing forces. Kitsune twisted out of the way of a slashing katana, caught the overextended arm, and snapped it at the elbow. The startled yell of pain and surprise cut off as Kitsune buried a kunai deep into the other ninja's throat. Fall back! Shouted the fox-masked ninja hoarsely as he grabbed a sound shinobi, letting one of his clones break the other man's neck. I'll hold them off. I'm with you, Kitsune. growled another hunter Nin, his mask indicating him as the shinobi Inu. Besides, the roar of electricity crackling sounded as Inu blasted a Chidori straight into the face of a sound jounin. The headless body of the ninja hadn't even touched the ground before the older shinobi appeared behind another ambushing soldier, slashing his throat with incredible speed. What kind of teacher would I be to leave his cute little student behind? It's just like old times, exclaimed Kitsune, clashing his blades with another sound shinobi. Kakashi-sensei? And flashback. Sarutobi Hiruzen stared amused at the two shinobi in front of him. When he had Enko-chan assigned as Namikaze Zaraki's handler, it was under the impression that she'd be able to keep the Namikaze under control if anything happened. Instead, both ended up drunk and passed out in front of the Hokage's tower. Which brought him to his current situation. The purple-haired Kunoichi stood in front of him, an apologetic grin on her face, while the hooded figure of Namikaze Zaraki stood behind her, the smallest trace of embarrassment on his features. I assume you two had an eventful night? Chastised the Sandaime Hokage, shaking his pipe at the two. Forgive us, Hokage-sama. Enko-chan was just showing me around the village, and we had too much to drink, apologized Zaraki, his hands spread in a placating manner. I apologize for any inconvenience we may have caused. Bah! You were a complete whiny bitch. Where were the explosions? The woman? The goddamned glitter. Yeah. I totally agree with Fuzzy Nuts. I thought you'd be banging that snake girl all night. Instead, you held an emo contest with your old teammate. Party fucking foul, I thought I knew you, kid. Fuzzy what? The wizened Hokage snorted in amusement, as he waved off the Namikaze. You are not one of my shinobi, Zaraki-san, though I'd expected more out of you, Anko. I apologize, Hokage-sama, said Anko, bowing her head down. No matter, now if you would excuse us, Anko, Zaraki-san and I have a few matters to discuss. By your leave, Hokage-sama. Zaraki stared at the old man sitting in front of him, ignoring the arguing voices in his head. It still shocked him every time he saw the benevolent old man of his youth. He was exactly like he remembered him. The familiar smoke of his pipe, the familiar robes of the Hokage that Tsunade rarely wore. Now, on to business, Zaraki-san, said the Hokage softly. Unlike civilians wishing to stay in Konoha, there are certain protocols that must be followed for any that are trained in the shinobi arts. The time-traveling Namikaze nodded in understanding. I've had the bingo books Konoha and our allies gone through, and it shows that you do not have a bounty on your head. This is, naturally, a good thing. No shit, old man. Shut up, you bastard, I'm listening. Am I correct in assuming you plan on staying in Konoha? Questioned the Sandaime, unaware of the commentary going on in Zaraki's head. Hi. I wish to stay near Naruto-kun. I've never paused, Zaraki, collecting his thoughts. I've never known my family, I want to know the kid better. I see. Unfortunately, if you do decide to stay in Konoha, I will not allow a blood test confirming your relation to Naruto-kun. What? Why? Protested Zaraki. As a kid, he would have given anything to have a family member in his life. If, hypothetically, Naruto-kun was related to you, then that would insinuate he is related to the Yondaime Hokage. Hypothetically, if Naruto-kun were indeed related to the Yondaime, then that would cause him to become a prime target for a certain village, and put him in undue danger. Do you understand? Said the Hokage, a small amount of killer intent leaking from his presence. Yes, Hokage-sama. Good. Now, as you may or may not have known, Konoha has what is called the Shinobi Reserve Program, said the old man as Zaraki nodded. If you wish to continue as a shinobi, the program would allow you to serve Konoha in that capacity. Bear in mind, however, your status as an outsider would prevent you from participating in certain classified missions and security detail. Is there a probation period? Questioned Zaraki. He didn't want to be stuck doing C and D rank missions for the rest of his life. Indeed, Zaraki-san, your handler will decide after a 6-month probation period whether you are trustworthy enough to serve Konoha's interests in a larger manner. You may be cleared after 6 months, or you may never be approved. It all depends and is decided on a case-by-case basis. Understood, Hokage-sama. Where do I sign up? Not to worry, the paperwork will be handled in due time, said the Hokage, cringing at the word paperwork, before tossing a set of keys to the blonde ninja. With lightning-fast reflexes, Zaraki snatched the keys out of the air and stared at them with a small amount of confusion. As a newly recruited member of Konoha's armed forces, it is within my power as Hokage to assign living quarters to any of my ninja, smiled the Sandaime. You'll find your neighbor to be quite the hyperactive boy. Zaraki's eyes widened, before settling into a quick eye smile reminiscent of his old sensei. Thank you, Hokage-sama. Your orders are to report to Training Ground 14 for evaluation and assignment. Your proctors will be expecting you at noon, understood? Barked out the Hokage to his newest recruit. Yes, sir. Dismissed. Zaraki grinned as he left the Hokage's office. He hadn't even thought about his living situation, or the fact that he was no longer a Konoha shinobi. The old man was still as awesome as he remembered him. Now he'd have a chance to serve Konoha again, and protect his precious people. He'd save them all. Believe it. Wait a sec. Nice catchphrase, dumbass. Come on, kid, you're embarrassing me seriously. Don't make me smack you. I'll fucking do it too. Hell, QB could help. I bet it'd be therapeutic. That does sound tempting. Maybe if you'd stabbed him? I'd definitely help then. Deal. Screw you bastards, growled Zaraki mentally, as he lamented his continued use of his infamous catchphrase. Damn it, he thought he'd outgrown that, obviously not meatbag. The Namikaze could only smack his face in frustration at the voices in his head. Before victory. The dumbass smacked himself. That's fucking awesome. The time-traveling shinobi could only sigh sadly. Back inside the Hokage's office, the Sandame silently motioned down one of his umbu guards. Fetch me Kakashi, Kurenai Guy, and my son. I have an assignment for them. Hi, Hokage-sama. Dismissed. Sarutobi Hiruzen leaned back and stared at the paperwork accumulating on his desk. It was taunting him, he just knew it. The never-ending requests, scattered mission assignments, recommendation for promotion, all strung about haphazardly across his desk. Cursed paperwork. Hiruzen just knew he should have gone with his backup plan as a kid. Ramen chefs made a killing these days. Uzumaki Naruto was by no stretch of the means a smart ninja. However, that didn't necessarily mean he was a bad one either. In fact, he was a very dangerous shinobi for a genin. His stealth and evasion skills were legendary in certain circles, and for the various umbu around the village, his pranks served as an excellent training exercise. His insane amounts of chakra also meant that any jutsu he learned had the potential to become ridiculously overpowered, and the sheer amount of clones he could create? No, Uzumaki Naruto did not lack the skills or potential to becoming an excellent shinobi. He lacked the attention span. And most importantly, common sense. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. You guys ready for this, boss? I don't think this is a good idea. What? Come on, Konohamaru, be a man. You know how you said you wanted people to acknowledge you? Well, I was waiting for my ramen to cook right, and thought to myself, wouldn't it be awesome if I could fly across Konoha? Like a bird. You know those weird things with the feathers? So I, being the incredibly awesome ninja that I am, decided I would be the first shinobi in space. But Iruka-sensei said that was impossible, so I thought maybe I could throw myself over Konoha. But then my ramen was done, so I ate it, and rambled Naruto from his perch on top of a rotting log, waving his arms exuberantly while his clone set up a massive slingshot in the middle of an open training ground. But what does that have to do with me, boss? I was getting to that. So I decided instead of throwing myself across Konoha, I could throw you. Then everyone would know who you were. I mean, Yev boss? How about you go first, just in case? Alrighty then, but don't come crying to me because no one remembers the second person in space. Exclaimed Naruto loudly, walking up to the launch pad of the slingshot. Here I go. Hey you! In the jumpsuit. Called a feminine voice behind Naruto. You're kind of a dumbass, huh? What? Who do you think you're talking to, panda girl with scary-looking knives? Yelled Naruto, offended at the rude name-calling girl. With scary-looking knives. Can't forget that. Those things were wicked-looking. An idiot about to fling his body straight into that tree over there, said the girl, pointing towards the tree line in front of them. You need to angle it a little higher or you're gonna go crashing straight into the forest of death. Not a good idea, by the way, said Naruto, his brows furrowed in thought as he glanced between the girl, the slingshot, and the forest. I see. Thanks, Panda-chan. That probably would have hurt. Yeah, probably, deadpanned the girl. Panda-chan? Naruto smiled and scratched the back of his head nervously. Well, yeah. You know, the buns in your hair make you look like a panda. So, Panda-chan, it's Tenten. Not Panda-chan, said the newly dubbed Tenten. So how were you going to land from that thing? Or did you not think about that too? Oh, come on, Ten-chan, give me some credit. I was going to summon a whole load of clones and have them slow my fall down. Exclaimed the orange shinobi loudly. It's good practice in case some crazy person ever knocks me off a cliff or something. Wait, those clones aren't illusions? I didn't know that was even possible. Said Tenten excitedly, the possibilities of a corporeal clone combined with her weapon skills. Why, she could increase her output of flying death exponentially. Teach me. Naruto stared at the weird girl silently. The incredible twinkling of her eyes was really starting to freak him out. So what's in it for me? I'll teach you how to make your own explosive tags. Deal. As the two genin shook hands to cement the deal, Konohamaru couldn't help but shudder with unease. It looked like the start of a terrifying friendship to the young academy student. The boss, plus his never-ending clones, and now explosives? Game over, man. Game over. Flying somewhere over rock country, Deidara couldn't shake the smile from his face. Somewhere, he just knew, another soul was about to discover one of life's great truths. Art is a blast. Perhaps it wasn't the greatest idea he'd ever had. That honor would have to be when the pervert convinced him and Kiba to spy on the fifth Hokage when she was bathing. Totally worth it. But this had to be in the top 10 worst experiences in his entire life. And that's saying something. The name of the nightmare? Uzumaki Naruto, age 12. Oh Kami, make it stop. Make it stop. Not again, damn it. I've already lived through this once. Don't make me turn in my resignation. I don't care that I only got a few more millennia before I can retire. I'll do it. How much longer can he fucking go on like this? I repent. So when Panda-chan said she'd teach me how to blow stuff up, I was like, no way. And did I mention she had some scary freaking knives on her? They were all pointy and stabby like, you know? Then I had to draw some crazy symbols, with lots of curvy bits, and channel some chakra into them, and boom! Fire! Waved Naruto, his arms flailing around wildly. Kid, so then I was all like, I gotta set the scene, so I made a whole bunch of them and blew those ones up. Of course, I was looking away the whole time, cause cool guys don't look at their explosions, so I didn't actually get to see how cool it looked. Kid! Tried Zaraki again. Then those Umbu guys came. With the cool animal masks. And they were all like, we sensed a disturbance in the forest and took me to see the old man Hokage, who was all I am your father. Or was that a movie? Not sure, but anyway. I made the trees go boom. Ugh. And did I tell you about Oigaki? Barked out the masked shinobi, rubbing his forehead with his fingers. Hey, who are you calling a brat? Take a breath, kid. I don't want you to die from a lack of oxygen. I do, mentally shouted Zabuza, his sword body starting to emit trace amounts of killer intent. Same here. Agreed the no longer caged fox from within. Oh. Thanks, Uncle Cousin Bandaged Guy. You're awesome. Yeah, no problem? Sighed Zaraki, shaking his head at his younger self's hyperactive nature. It was like his younger alter ego was hyped up on a couple of the Akimichi clan soldier pills. No wonder it was hard to recall anything from his younger years. His mind was literally focused on everything and nothing at every waking moment. Standing in the deserted halls of the two Naruto's apartment complex, Zaraki noticed it was in a small state of disrepair. Seemingly from the lack of use though, rather than any deliberate vandalism. Staring down at his newest neighbor, it looked like little Naruto was still starving for attention. Hell, old Danzo probably could have bribed him with a dozen bowls of ramen and some orange chopsticks if he ever got a clue. Speaking of Danzo, he'd have to get in touch with the old warhawk again. Old man was bloodthirsty, but the bastard knew how to get shit done. Plus, it'd be fun to mess with the grumpy old man again. So how did you do that earlier? You know, with the whooshy wind thing and Kakashi-sensei, and that fire dragon of awesomeness? How'd you do that? Well, flashback 1300 hours, training ground 14, you're late Zaraki-san. You too, Kakashi, said Saratobi Asuma, the bearded jounin slowly puffing on a cigarette, while his red-eyed companion glared at it with a look of distaste. Hee. My bad, said the newly arrived Namikaze to the jounin in front of him. Standing next to him was Kakashi, giggling and reading his book. You see, I kind of got lost in the village, before I eventually met up with the copynin here. Who, did I mention, so graciously offered to escort me, but then there was this old lady with some groceries that he insisted on helping. So naturally me being a nice guy was glad to assist him and the collective group of jounin groaned at the new guy's excuse. One Kakashi was bad enough. Ahem, interrupted Kurenai, cutting short Zaraki's excuse. The Hokage has assigned us to be your proctors for your entrance test into Konoha's Shinobi Reserve. We will be testing your abilities in various fields of the shinobi arts, while Kakashi will spar with you at the end. I am Yuhi Kurenai, jounin sensei of Team 8. I believe we met briefly. The time traveler nodded his head in recognition. Yash. I am Konoha's Green Beast, sensei of Team 9 Mato Guy. It is a pleasure to meet such a hip and youthful candidate for Konoha's forces. If I cannot judge your taijutsu skill properly, then I will run 1000 laps around the village, on my hands. Backwards. And if I can't do that, then I'm Saratobi Asuma. Jounin. I'll be testing your ninjutsu today, said Asuma, dutifully ignoring the youthful rant behind him. You already know Kakashi, of course. Yo, waved the copynin lazily, his eyes never leaving his precious book. So what do you want to be tested in first? Continued Asuma. And if I can't do that, then I will do 10,000 pelvic thrusts. And if I can't do can I do them all at once? I don't know, like a tag team sparring match? Seems kinda lame to just do one at a time. Asuma shrugged his shoulders carelessly, looking towards his fellow jounin for approval. Seeing the nods as a yes, the Hokage's son motioned Zaraki to the clearing. Alright then, sounds good to me. Full contact sparring. Lethal jutsu is permitted, but killing one of your proctors isn't gonna be a good idea, trust me. No more than 2 of us will attacking you at any given time, understood? Hi, then let's begin, said Asuma, his hands flashing through the seals for a widespread wind jutsu. Twisting his body out of the way, Zaraki narrowly dodged Kakashi's flying kunai from behind. Channeling wind chakra into his massive sword, the Namikaze deflected Asuma's wind jutsu to the side, sending the blades of wind crashing into the nearby forest. Bursting forward with insane speed, the former missing nin slammed his sword into the barely ready trenched knives of the smoking ninja. A flash of green out of the corner of his eye forced him to throw his body back and to block the incoming fist with the flat of his blade. Son of a bitch! That bastard hits hard. Sent flying through the air, Zaraki flipped gracefully and slid across the ground, before being slammed in the side by an incredibly powerful kick. A pained expression on Zaraki's face disappeared in a burst of smoke as his body was replaced with a log. Alright then. Grinned Zaraki menacingly, slamming Kubikiri Hocho into the ground and motioning to the green spandex-wearing shinobi. Let's tango! Smiling with youthful energy, Guy quickly engaged the younger ninja in a pure taijutsu battle. Being a master of various styles, and knowledgeable in the basics of countless others, Konoha's green beast was surprised to see the Namikaze was wielding an unknown style of taijutsu. The blonde moved with blinding speed, targeting every opportunity he saw, all while not telegraphing a single move. Fascinating, Zaraki grimaced as Guy's fist found its way under his guard again, slamming itself into his chest. Bouncing back though, the Namikaze made the older Jounin pay for it with a wicked jab to his stomach, and a vicious high kick sent the other shinobi back. The only reason he was even able to hit the taijutsu using ninja was because he was just a bit faster than Guy. But Guy still had his weights on, and the green beast was managing to lay down damage just fine to Zaraki. Yash! You are most skilled, Zaraki-san! Shouted Guy enthusiastically, landing a hard kick to Zaraki's chest, sending the masked shinobi crashing into the ground. A heartbeat later, and Guy was defending against Zaraki's incredibly fast counterattack. Same to you, mate, said Zaraki, covertly making one-handed seals, before quickly growling out, Futon, Kaze Chuyaku. A maelstrom of wind crashed into the ground, propelling Zaraki high into the air. Momentarily suspended in midair, the Namikaze's hands blurred through another set of hand seals, Futon, De Tapa. A powerful blast of wind sent Guy flying across the training ground, the sheer strength of the jutsu causing a small portion of the forest to come tumbling down with him. Zaraki grinned savagely as he wiped a small trail of blood from his mouth, and pulled his sword from the ground. Forget about little old me? Whispered a soft feminine voice behind him, Megan, Jubaku Satsu. The masked shinobi watched as a massive tree wove its way up his legs, trapping him and holding him tight. Kid! Genjutsu! Break the damn illusion! Zaraki swore mentally and slid his left hand down the blade of his sword, breaking the illusion. Genjutsu was one of his few blatant weaknesses. If it wasn't for Zabuza, he'd probably have been dead 10 times over by now. Blood dripping from his hand, Zaraki threw a savage elbow shot behind him, striking the female ninja directly in the stomach. A burst of smoke appeared and Saratobi Asuma flew through it, his trench knives outstretched. Son of a. The clang of steel on steel rang throughout the training area, and Zaraki was forced to quickly move backwards, Kubikiri Hocho being too large for extremely close combat. Backpedaling rapidly, Zaraki ran through a familiar set of one-handed seals, Futon, De Tapa, Futon, Kaze no Yaiba. The son of the third Hokage sliced through the incoming wind attack, deflecting the wind jutsu around him. Wind user, eh? You're good, Zaraki-san, said Asuma, his uniform a bit disheveled from the wind attack. Appearing next to him was the Genjutsu mistress and Konoha's green beast, both uninjured, but looking slightly worn. Indeed, drawled Kakashi from a nearby tree, his nose buried in the latest edition of Aika Aika. That lazy fucking bastard. Looking up from his beloved series, the copy nin sighed dramatically before putting away his book. Pulling up his headband from his Sharingan, Kakashi I smiled. Guess it's my turn. Kick the scarecrow's ass. The copy nin disappeared from his perch on the tree, and rematerialized behind the Namikaze. Knowing what was coming next, Zaraki quickly brought Kubikiri Hocho to bear on his former sensei. Reacting with lightning speed, his Sharingan eye flashing, Kakashi held off the sword with a perfectly placed kunai. You know, you fight a lot like my last opponent, said Kakashi conversationally, as he slashed Zaraki lightly across his left arm. Hissing in pain, Zaraki responded with a wide arcing swing, sending the copy nin tumbling back. Yeah, and who would that be? A swordsman of the mist, continued the copy nin. It was difficult at first, but I defeated him pretty easily. Yeah, screw you, Scarecrow. You got lucky, I tell ya. If the Gaki hadn't distracted me with the fucking Kyuubi's chakra, I would have totally kicked your ass. Sure you would have, foolish little mortal, said the Kyuubi sarcastically. Who asked you? And where the hell have you been? Not that I'm complaining, it's been nice not listening to the constant booming voice. Seriously, ever hear of an inside voice? Bah! You are unworthy of my mere presence. Besides, I was just visiting young Naruto. It seems the brat has learned how to make explosive tags 3 years ahead of schedule. It was most amusing. Zaraki almost impaled himself with his sword in shock. The Kyuubi could travel to his younger self's consciousness? Kakashi, unaware of Zaraki's recent revelation, capitalized on his state of distraction, flinging a hail of kunai in his direction. Kawarimi no jutsu, said Zaraki, replacing himself with a conveniently placed log. What do you mean, Fox? Growled the Namikaze mentally. I didn't know you could do that. Well, what were you expecting? For there to be 2 all-powerful demon spirits with the power to shake the earth and bring fire raining from the sky? Bah! There can only be one. Thank Kami, mumbled Zabuza from within his sword. Back in reality, Kakashi stood across from the blonde ninja, watching him curiously. Are you alright, Zaraki-san? Perhaps you wish to stop? You were just recently in the hospital, and I believe we have enough info to properly judge you. Shaken from his mental conversation, Zaraki shrugged his shoulders at the copy nin. Yeah, probably should have waited a bit more before fighting all of you, eh? Definitely gonna feel this later. How about one last jutsu then, you and me? Fine by me, Zaraki-san. Quickly flashing through dozens of hand seals, Zaraki grinned savagely as he saw Kakashi copying him. Old habits die hard, and Zaraki knew his old sensei's bad habits better than almost anyone. Futon, Tatsu no Ashigoto, chorused the 2 ninjas together. Bursting forth from the sky came 2 powerful tornadoes that shook the training ground, the howling winds threatening to tear apart Earth. Crashing together, the two twisters fought for dominance, before, to Kakashi's surprise, combining into one single tornado. Zaraki couldn't keep the grin off his face as he went through the seals of a second jutsu, and shouting, "Katan, Ryuka no Jutsu!" An elemental dragon of fire leapt from his lips to the sky, the primeval creature roaring as it connected with the spinning wind maelstrom. Flames shot across the sky, as the fire dragon spiraled across the spinning tornado. The grass beneath quickly turned to ash, and the heat set fire to nearby training logs. Kakashi looked up at the jutsu with the barest hints of trepidation. This was an extremely dangerous combination jutsu, and according to his Sharingan, could potentially explode, sending flaming blades of wind in all directions. But before Kakashi could react, or the rest of the other jounin for that matter, the maelstrom of fire and death dissipated into nothingness, revealing the sheepish shinobi behind. "Ah," said Zaraki, looking apologetic, "I just realized that this was a spar, not a fight to the death. I kinda went a bit overboard, yeah? Damn it! I wanted a crispy scarecrow." "Stupid lucky bastard," complained Zabuza, before mumbling, "Turned sword damn crazy not gotten laid." "Yosh! What a most youthful display! Without doubt the fires of youth burn brightly within you, for I have never seen such a deadly and elegant display filled with such vigor before. Truly you are an inspiration to all." The collective jounin looked at the sword-wielding ninja, impressed at the display. The sheer destructive power of his last attack was easily A-ranked, possibly S-ranked, and he held enough control over it to dismiss it with ease. Kakashi smiled inwardly. Combining the two was a stroke of genius, and his Sharingan was able to copy it all. He'd have to practice the combo later, after he finished reading, of course. "This was a very informative test, Zaraki-san," said Asuma, relighting his cigarette. "I would like to say we are glad such a skilled ninja will be joining Konoha's forces." Thanks, it's just Zaraki. There's no need for formalities." "That was an awesome fight, by the way. I'm curious how well I would have fared had you guys been going all out." "As am I, Zaraki," said Kurenai to Konoha's newest addition, her crimson eyes contemplative, as she looked over the Namikes. "I have the feeling that your skills lie beyond what we have seen today." Zaraki shrugged at the Genjutsu mistress's observation. They knew as well as he did, a shinobi would never reveal everything they knew in a simple spar. Deception was what separated shinobi from samurai, and more importantly, kept them alive. "We will relay your results to the Hokage. Expect a summons within the next few days." "Hi, now that that's out of the way," drawled Kakashi, reading his book again, "Naruto. Get over here." Emerging from the nearby forest came the orange-wearing genin, smiling guiltily at being found out. Covered in dirt and branches, the young shinobi also smelled of gunpowder, his jumpsuit singed in several places. "Yo, Kakashi-sensei. What's going on? Why were you guys fighting?" "It was awesome. Like when bearded guy sliced the wind apart." "How'd he do that?" And when cousin guy was fighting the Green Ranger. They were all like POW. Kick. Bam. Shouted Naruto enthusiastically. "So cool, Naruto-kun, whatever am I going to do with you?" sighed Kakashi, dramatically shaking his head. "We'll discuss the dangers of a high-level spar at the next team meeting. Now if you could escort Zaraki to your apartment? He will be moving into your apartment complex." "All right," shouted Naruto. "Come on, hooded blonde dude. It's this way. I'll get Cha there." "Believe it," Zaraki cringed. Watching the two set off into the distance, Kakashi waited with the other jounin for them to disappear from sight. Stepping out from the shadows, two Anbu guards flanking him, came the Sandaime Hokage. "Hokage-sama. Most interesting, is he not? What are your thoughts?" Kakashi looked at his fellow jounin before stepping forward. "Sir, Namikaze Zaraki proved to be a most interesting opponent. He seems comfortable fighting multiple opponents, and is easily a jounin-level shinobi. Perhaps even on my level of ability." The Sandaime raised his eyebrows at Kakashi's confession. The Copy-nin was one of the few candidates for Godaime Hokage, and to say that the Namikaze was possibly of a similar skill level was very interesting. "Hey Dad, don't you think we're moving too fast with this one? A skilled shinobi like Zaraki could do a lot of damage if he wanted to," said Asuma, speaking up. Hokage-sama? If I may?" questioned Kurenai to the Hokage. Seeing his nod of approval, she continued, "I don't believe Zaraki is an enemy of Konoha, sir. Shinobi trying to infiltrate Konoha wouldn't draw as much attention as Zaraki has, nor shown as much skill." "Yash! He was most youthful in battle." "You have a point," said the Hokage. "Very well then. I'll keep your opinions in mind. Do I have any objections towards awarding Zaraki-san Tokubetsu Jounin reserve status?" A collective agreement chorused from the ninja. "Good work then." Dismissed. After the jounin left, the old Hokage motioned to one of the hidden Anbu in the forest. "Your thoughts, Torakun?" "He fights like a hunter, sir." "No doubt about it." "Indeed, I noticed." "Sir, if he passes his probation, I want him. The kid's got skill, he'd fit right in. And with the rumors about the upcoming exam." "Very well." Dismissed. End flashback. Settling into his new room, Namikaze Naruto, now Zaraki, dove into his mindscape, appearing in front of the demon fox, Zabuza alongside him. "We need to talk, Fox," said the Namikaze, glaring at the demon. "And we will." In time, but there are more pressing matters to attend to, growled out the demon angrily. The Shinigami has spoken. Orochimaru approaches. Naruto let loose a wave of killer intent as his grin went feral. How long? 2 weeks. The time traveler's eyes flashed crimson as he bared his elongated canines. Perfect, I can't wait. Aw shit, you better not go psycho on me, kid. Crazy guys don't get laid. Remember that. The fall of Konoha 1100 hours. Kami, save us. The destroyer approaches. He comes. A blood-covered shinobi screamed as he stumbled through the front gates of Konoha. His uniform, ripped to shreds, identified him as a Konoha Umbu, Hunter Division. Dajima-san? Are you okay? We need a medic, exclaimed one of the gate guards loudly. What happened? Where's the rest of your team? Consumed. Torn asunder. The cage has been broken, and he has come, rambled the shinobi. His eyes widened in fear. The eyes of the Chunin guard widened at the mention of a cage. A quick glance at the Jounin commander on duty showed a similar fear in his eyes. It couldn't be, could it? What cage, Dajima? What cage has been broken? The snake has tempted. The apple has fallen. The cage has been broken. The QB approaches. The guard momentarily froze in shock, before leaping up and rushing towards the guardhouse. His hands shaking, he quickly activated the emergency seal placed underneath his desk. An ear-splitting alarm wailed ominously, its meaning clear to any who heard its cry. The QB approaches. Konoha was a flurry of activity. Confusion was rampant amongst the citizens and shinobi alike. For the citizens, many could remember the last time they heard the distinctive wail of the emergency alarm. 16 years ago would never be forgotten. Move! I want all available shinobi to the gates. Genin! Escort the citizens to the shelters. Go, go, go. Where's Hokage-sama? She's at the tower. I heard she's preparing the Yandame's technique. Legions of shinobi lined the massive walls of Konoha, weapons ready, watching for the QB. Teams of battle-hardened Umbu charged out of the village into the surrounding woods, looking to initiate first contact with the demon. I don't see it. Can you? Negative. Where the hell is it? Screams and the sound of battle echoed from the forest. Sensei, what's going on? The QB no Kitsun. But the Yandame killed it, Sensei. If only. Look! Shouted an observant ninja, pointing towards the shadowy figure that stepped out of the forest. Wrapped in ghostly flames, the figure stepped into the open, the setting sun casting an unearthly shadow in front of it. Crimson eyes glowed, and the shinobi reeked of blood. Baring its teeth in a sadistic smile, the blood-covered shinobi raised its hands in front of him, and formed a familiar cross-shaped seal. Tajukage Bunshin no Jutsu. And the fall of Konoha began. Uzumaki Naruto, now known as Namikaze Zaraki, shot up from his cot, wide awake. Sweat covered his brow, and his hands shook violently. Taking deep breaths, the former missing Nin calmed himself. Rays of sunshine cascaded into his apartment, and sounds of daily activity echoed into his apartment. It had been a little more than 2 weeks since he had officially joined the Konoha Reserve, and learned of Kyubi's revelation. The man who had ruined his life was coming to Konoha, or was already here. And he wasn't ready. Rising from his bed, the Namikaze slowly got dressed, stretching out his aching body as he did so. Naruto was under no illusions. He knew he was a skilled shinobi, but he wasn't the best. Hell, Orochimaru had destroyed him all those years ago, and even he was weaker than Akatsuki. He shivered. Orochimaru, he had a chance against. Itachi? The shinobi with purple eyes? The masked Uchiha? No, he barely escaped with his life in those encounters. Only luck, and the ability to instantly travel vast distances allowed him to survive. The time traveler slammed his fist into his palm. It didn't matter right now. The snake was approaching, and he needed to train. Riki-kun! Get your ass up and let's go. I need a drinking buddy. After a few drinks with Anko, of course. Yeah, I'm coming, Anko-chan, said Zaraki, strapping his sword to his back. That's what she said. Bow chika bow wow. Your idiocy never fails to amaze me truly. You are a prime example of humanity. I'll go fuck a cow, you overgrown rabbit. Zaraki could only sigh, as the voices in his head continued to shout at each other. Behind his door stood Anko, a dango stick protruding from her mouth, and an impatient look on her face. Well, come on then, drinking time, exclaimed Anko, smiling viciously at her newest drinking buddy. Zaraki couldn't have asked for a better handler. You are unworthy of Shinigami-sama's favor, mortal, your destiny approaches, and you are content to drink your sorrows away, spat the demon lord angrily, his temper already flaring from Zabuza's antagonizing. Hey, give the Gaki a fucking break, he'll be fine. Orochimaru is as good as dead, come Chunin exams, so back the hell off. Bow, like I said, unworthy. The Namikaze clenched his fists at the demon's criticism, as he followed behind Anko silently. Who cared what the demon thought? If he wanted to forget the horrors he'd done by drinking the night away, then screw the fox. He'd do what he wanted, and he'd be damned if anyone condemned him for it. Stepping into the smoky atmosphere of one of Konoha's many dive bars, Zaraki couldn't help but notice several familiar faces in the crowd, various men and women he once knew. Speaking of people he used to know, drinking merrily in the corner were none other than the team instructors of the future Konoha 12. The illustrious Copy Nin, Konoha's green beast, the Genjutsu mistress, and one of the guardians of fire. Despite only being noon, the rusty kunai was packed with shinobi, and Zaraki was forced to follow Enko closely to avoid being separated. The harsh rhythms of heavy guitar screeched through the air, as a Konoha Chunin continued his solo, while a female jounin kept up a pounding drumbeat. Noticing the two, Kakashi lazily motioned them to their table, his eye somehow never leaving his book. "Ola bitches!" exclaimed Enko enthusiastically, throwing herself onto the open lap of Sarutobi Asuma. "Enko! Get off of him!" growled Kurenai angrily. The other shinobi could only roll their eyes in amusement. Zaraki chuckled at his companion's antics as he raised his hand, signaling for a drink. Cheers! Uzumaki Naruto slammed his fists into the training post. Today had not been a good day. First of all, his dreams the night before were plagued with images of the Kyubi no Kitsune, ruining any chances of a well-rested slumber. Then, it turns out he slept in too long, forcing a frantic dash across Konoha to the training grounds. Naturally, his excessive speed caught the attention of a certain green-clad jounin, who of course decided it would be in the genin's best interest to run laps around Konoha. On his hands bloody fantastic. Then, after the admittedly excellent workout, he met an irate Sakura at the training grounds, who loudly proclaimed that training was cancelled, and that she had to wait all day for him. The rest was a bit fuzzy. So after a fantastic morning, Naruto resigned himself to spending the rest of the afternoon doing something safe. Violently and angrily beating the stuffing out of the training posts. "Oai ga Akiki! You're doing it wrong," slurred a voice behind Naruto. Spinning around in self-righteous anger, the younger genin glared at the older shinobi behind him. Leaning on his massive sword for support was none other than his newest neighbor, Namikaze Zaraki. "What you mean I'm doing it wrong?" "See," growled Naruto, slamming his fist into the post for good measure. "And I said you're doing it wrong. Use your whole body, kid, not just your arm," said Zaraki happily, taking a swig from the bottle in his hand. "Watch and learn." Staggering to the training post, the time traveler stood swaying in front of the log. "Hey! Stop interrupting my training. You're just..." A splintering crack echoed through the air as Naruto stood in awe. The training post was completely destroyed, the remnants scattered across the grounds. "Forgive me, O holy log, for I have sinned," muttered Zaraki quietly. "Teach me. Teach me." Zaraki looked at Naruto with glassy eyes. This could be fun. "Oh shit, oh shit, oh shit!" cried out Naruto frantically as he sprinted through the forest away from his crazy new sensei. It had started off innocently enough, a fixed stance here, a technical error there. Then the Namikaze got bored. Proclaiming the best training was done on the job, the older shinobi gave the younger shinobi a simple task. Survive. That was 5 hours ago. The telltale swishing noise cutting through the air immediately forced the younger shinobi to dive desperately to his feet. Flying through the space his head just occupied was the massive black blade that the older shinobi seemed to love throwing. "Good. You're learning," smiled Zaraki from his perch just behind Naruto. "Think fast." A flurry of kunai sped through the air towards the panting genin. Eyes widening in fear, Naruto flashed his hands into a sloppy hand seal, wordlessly summoning a shadow clone in the air above him, who, milliseconds after its formation, switched with its creator at speeds rivaling an experienced jounin. Heart racing, and his body exhausted, the genin panted tiredly on the grassy forest floor. Zaraki hopped down from his location and looked at the younger shinobi with surprise. The kunai he threw were a mere illusion, one of the few genjutsu that he could successfully pull off. But his younger self had reacted with incredible speed and agility, avoiding what would have killed an experienced chunin. Actually, the more he thought about it, his younger self was able to not only survive the past few hours with minimal injury, but he actually improved the longer it went on. And that trap earlier with the explosive tags? Damn, he was awesome. More like lucky. But then again, you did beat Haku, so your chibi self has got to have some skill. Maybe. Or maybe I just hate the jumpsuit. Yeah, that must be it. Why orange? Seriously lame. Nudging the orange-clad ninja with his foot, Zaraki couldn't help but chuckle at the tired snore that escaped the 13-year-old's mouth. Kids hefting Naruto onto his shoulder, Zaraki disappeared in a flurry of leaves and wind. After leaving Naruto in his apartment, the older time traveler shined to the top of the Hokage monument. Settling on the head of the third Hokage, the Namikaze stared silently at the pristine village below him. Gone were the devastating craters, the destroyed walls, the stench of blood and smoke. Fuck, he really didn't want to be here. Too many memories. Who was he kidding? Nothing was going to change. Is that why you seem content to bury yourself in alcohol, foolish child? Because you are scared? Growled the demon fox mockingly. You are a coward. Screw you, fox. This wouldn't have happened if you hadn't attacked Konoha, spat Naruto mentally. This is all your fucking fault anyway. Truly, you are more dim-witted than I imagined. The fate of mortals have always been predetermined, but you? The foolish mortal that you are, does not realize the shackles have been released, the price paid in full, the gate unlocked. You are the guardian, the harbinger, and the chosen one. The gods themselves have chosen you as their instrument, and you deny them their gifts. What the hell are you talking about? That it was my destiny to kill everyone I cared about. Yeah, fox, seriously, what the fuck? This is some dream within a dream shit you're spouting here. Your previous destiny, snarled the Kyubi, was the will of the gods. You failed mortal, deemed too weak to maintain the balance. Now, you write the future. And if you fail again, another will carry the burden and the cycle will continue. Endlessly, eternally because of you. What are you saying? What cycle? But the Kyubi did not respond. God fucking damn it, growled Naruto out loud angrily. Well, if you wanted me to leave, you could have not been such an asshole, retorted a voice from behind the Namikaze. What the Anko? What the hell are you doing here? Wheelil, I am your handler. I'm supposed to keep an eye on ya, you know? Drawled out the Kunoichi lazily. You're not turning all angsty on me, are ya, Araki-kun? It's so hard to find a drinking buddy who's actually somewhat interesting. Snorted the Namikaze angrily. Angsty? I hope the fuck not murderous. Yeah, that's more like it. Oh, what's got my lil Riki-kun all mad about? Sang Anko jokingly, as she plopped herself unceremoniously next to the time traveler. It's not important. Come on, you can tell your Anko-chan. She needs to make sure you're not a crazy homicidal maniac. 'Cause then she'd have to tell the Hokage, and no more sexy drinking buddy for Anko-chan, said the Kunoichi, a savage grin plastered on her face. Naruto raised an eyebrow at her antics, and cracked a slight smile. Just a case of PTSD, coupled with too much alcohol, and the lack of any serious action. Just going stir-crazy, that's all. Lack of action, huh? Grinned Anko evilly. I could help with that. Naruto's eyes widened as the snake Kunoichi pounced on top of him, smiling seductively. Fuck yes. Front row seats. Boomut hucking ya. Stepping out from the shadows, a white-masked shinobi stared unemotionally at where Namikaze Zaraki had sat perched watching the container earlier. Resting unobtrusively in the leaves was a small, barely visible scroll. Quickly unrolling the scroll, the ninja's eyes rose minutely in shock at its contents. Written lazily across the inside was a simple phrase. They are the leaves bathing in the sun. We are the roots that grow in the dark. Our lives we offer. For Konoha. Tucking the scroll into his sleeves, the masked shinobi vanished silently into the shadows. When newcomers visited the Hokage's office, many expected ostentatiously rich and luxurious surroundings. Surely the office of the most powerful and wealthiest of the hidden villages would reflect its standing in the elemental nations. The truth couldn't be farther. The Oval Office of Konoha's leader was Spartan in its design, and gave off a very comforting ambience to its shinobi. It was universally agreed by traveling merchants that the Hokage had the most welcoming office. It was hard to believe some of the darkest betrayals, suicidal missions, and assassinations were planned within the same walls. Report. It was a partial success, Hokage-sama. I was able to successfully seduce the target, but was unable to procure any significant intelligence, recited the Kunoichi to the wizened ninja. However, I was able to discover the target is seeking revenge on an individual, though the identity is unknown. Very well, good work, Anko-chan. Report back to Marino Ibiki for further orders. For now, consider yourself reinstated into torture and interrogation. With a respectful hi, the female ninja vanished from the Hokage's office in a whirlwind of leaves. Shifting a stack of papers from his crowded desk, the Hokage read over the debriefing from his Zanbu watching the Namikaze. A curious interaction with the last Uchiha, drunken training sessions with the son of the fourth Hokage, and of course, the interesting little tidbit that Anko-chan was able to discover. An Avenger just great. Was the Namikaze in Konoha, looking for his kill? Or was it truly chance that another Namikaze had found his way to Konoha? The long-lost and unknown brother of the Yondaime, a miracle? Or a plot? Sarutobi signaled one of his new Umbu guards to fetch him the commander of his hunter corps. A heartbeat later, he signaled the guard to also find Umbu Captain Nico, of Sigma Squad. The loyalty of the Namikaze had to be tested, and what was better than a baptism in fire? Rubbing his forefinger and thumb across his temples, the old Hokage once again felt himself cursing the Yondaime for his untimely death. He'd said it once, and he'd say it again. He was too damn old for this shit. A mission? What the hell? The time-traveling ninja froze for a fraction of a heartbeat as the Lord Hokage laid out his orders for the next 2 months. The timing couldn't have been worse. He missed the start of the Chunin exams, hell, maybe even the entire invasion itself. Naruto felt himself holding back on some choice words, as the Hokage finished the briefing. Zabuza of course had no such reservations. Goddamned motherfucking son of a monkey-raping whore. That fucking old shit. The bastard's doing this on purpose, no fucking doubt about it. Cursed the raging presence of his sword/sensei. Naruto couldn't help but agree. From what the Hokage was saying, he'd be part of a team consisting of multiple Jounin and Shunin, and would be stationed at one of Konoha's forward operating bases near the Land of Rice. Apparently there had been numerous reports of roaming missing nin in the area. No fucking shit, there were enemy ninja in the area. It was the birthplace of the thrice-cursed Sound Village. Damn them to hell. You will be placed under Jounin Yuzuki Yudogo and her team. Despite your rank as a special Jounin, you are a newcomer to the village, and thus, you will answer to Konoha Shinobi, regardless of rank, understood? Yes, Hokage-sama, acknowledged the Namikaze, bowing his head respectfully to the old man. Roger, fuckface. Excellent. You are to meet your team at the North Gate immediately. Dismissed. Slamming his fist to his chest in the customary Konoha salute, the swordsman vanished from the Hokage's office. Running across the rooftops of Konoha moments later, Naruto let loose a stream of curses that barely conveyed the frustration the time traveler was feeling. All of his half-baked ideas of changing the events leading to the invasion were shattered into unachievable pieces. He had wanted to prevent the last loyal Uchiha from ever receiving the curse seal, tearing the snake Sannin to pieces in the process. With his new orders, he couldn't even assassinate the damned spy Kabuto before the exam. The situation with the invasion was already fucked up beyond all reason, and it hadn't even started yet. As Uzumaki Naruto, now Namikaze Zaraki, approached the towering north gates of Konoha, he decided to make his first promise in years. The village hidden by sound would not survive its invasion attempt. Fucking believe it! Anbu Captain Yuzuki Yugugo, codenamed Nico, Sigma squad leader, did not like the latest addition to her team. The shinobi reminded her too much of the drunken mess that was her father, and being forced to babysit Konoha's newest shinobi was annoying to say the least. Considering the fact that Sigma Squad and herself were not serving as the masked Anbu elite unit that they were, but instead as regular shinobi for the sake of some newcomer grated on her nerves. Of course, being the consummate professional, she let none of her emotions show on her unmasked face. She had a mission and she would carry it out, despite any personal feelings. Turning to her second-in-command, Namishi Rado, she watched as the scarred shinobi briefed the Namikaze on their mission and his role in the squad. Ignoring the Kakashi-esque eye smile that the bandaged shinobi sported and his easygoing manner, the Anbu captain kept a sharp eye on the blonde. One step out of line and she would initiate the secondary objective of her mission. The termination of one Namikaze Zaraki. Kotetsu Izumo, you two are on overwatch. Watch R6, quickly ordered the squad captain, Genma, Hate, Rado, and Namikaze. Standard wedge on me. Yugugo watched as the two Chunin gate guards moved into position behind the V-shaped wedge. Few knew that the two Chunin were in fact members of the elite Anbu Black Ops, and the less that knew the better. Yugugo's eyes widened imperceptibly as she saw the Namikaze seamlessly take his position in the battle formation, moving with the speed and grace of any standard Black Ops operative. Eyes narrowing, the Jounin mentally filed away the incident in her head. Namikaze Zaraki seemed way too at home with Anbu's standard battle formations for comfort. Let's move out, ordered the violet-haired Kunoichi, as she leaped into the canopy. Suspicious or not, Sigma Squad plus one Namikaze were on their way to the land of rice. Tenten was not an easily impressed Kunoichi. As a member of a team with a genius bloodline user, an incredibly skilled taijutsu expert, and Konoha's strongest Jounin physically, it was hard for her to be too impressed by anything. It would figure that Konoha's loudest and brightest idiot would forever skew her views on strength and ability. After teaching the orange-clad genin the basics behind the explosive tag, she was awed and terrified at the ease in which the blonde grasped the advanced concept of the seal. After recreating the seal, the blonde, to her absolute horror, quickly modified the seal to his own liking. Working with some sort of kami-given instinct, the rookie genin increased the explosive output of the tags while decreasing the amount of chakra needed for activation, all the while using who knew how many clones to set up a complicated, timed setup of explosives throughout the forest, attached to a chakra trigger that the loud mouth created on the spot. Needless to say, when the Anbu dragged away the blackened and soot-covered genin in response to the explosive show the boy put on, she was speechless. At a loss for words. Frozen in shock. Freak the fuck out. Uzumaki Naruto was going places. No doubt in her mind about it. So when the weapons mistress happened to see the orange-clad ninja eating at a local ramen stand, she didn't hesitate to join him. Hey Naruto, what's up, Panda-chan? Came the ear-splitting cry of joy. Welcome to the most greatest fantastic-tasting ramen in the world. Bowed down to the prophet of noodles, bringer of heaven on earth Tsuchisama himself. Served by the angel of ramen, I am Haim herself. Taste the rainbow. Tenten looked at the shouting genin incredulously before rolling her eyes in amusement. No way was Naruto really this loud and idiotic. Seeing as he is a genius with seals, it was probably just a weird sense of humor the younger genin had. Weird she could live with. Lee and Gai-sensei being unfortunate examples. Note to self. Never let Lee infect Naruto with the flames of youth. I have a question for you, Whiskers. Weren't you in the class above me back at the academy? Why are you only a genin now? Questioned Tenten curiously. After thinking about her interactions with the blonde, she was shocked when she recalled the same whiskered-faced blonde at the academy in the class above hers. Eh? Whiskers? Said Naruto, his eyes narrowed in an odd state of confusion, his hand scratching the back of his head cluelessly. What? Defended the weapons mistress hotly, her cheeks burning red in a flash of embarrassment. You call me Panda, I call you Whiskers, so deal with it. Now answer the damn question. Naruto cocked his head questioningly at the girl, an odd look of emotion quickly crossing his face. Hee, well Panda-chan YC. I kinda failed the genin test. 3 times to be exact. Finished Naruto, smiling sheepishly. Huh? What the hell? How the hell did you fail? Tenten nearly shouted at the blonde. Wheelio, I couldn't do the stupid clone technique. Well, I kinda could, just not very good. Looked like a dead version of me. Which was scary, kinda like a ghost. Oh man, I hate ghosts, Irika-sensei said. Ghosts don't exist, but I totally saw one in the forest of killer. Scary, screw that place, Death. And he was all transparent and scary looking and had this crazy swirling orange mask on. And Naruto, oh right. So anyway, I couldn't do the clone technique, so they failed me till I could. Tenten stared at Naruto in shock for what seemed like the umpteenth time. Speaking very slowly as if to a child, you couldn't make a clone? Nope, but, ya Panda-chan? Ugh, never mind, she'd deal with the headache that was Naruto later. A hidden presence materializing behind her caused her to lash out instinctively with a kunai. A firm grip attached itself to her arm and disarmed her a fraction of a second later. You're a feisty one, aren't ya? Drawled a lazy voice from behind her. Kakashi-sensei? Huh? Came the confused blonde. What you doing here, Kakashi-sensei? Naruto-kun. I think the correct question is why you're here, and not at the team meeting? Said the copy-nin lazily as he read his beloved book, though seeing as you were entertaining company I think I could forgive you. Wiping a fake tear from his visible eye, the jounin continued, you kids grow up so fast I guess it's only proper that since I'm your beloved teacher, I pass on some crucial knowledge to you. Enjoy, kiddo, have fun! A second orange book materialized in the jounin's hand, before swiftly appearing in the hands of Uzumaki Naruto. Glancing at the inside of the book, the blonde's eyes widened as a trickle of blood fell from his nose. An overwhelming feeling of killer intent suddenly appeared beside him. Looking into the murderous eyes of an affronted Tenten, Naruto quickly used his newest technique his cousin Uncle Drunken Sensei taught him. Tenten growled ferally as the blonde escaped in a whirlwind of leaves. Oh, you're so gonna get it, Whiskers. When I get my hands on you, you're in for a world of pain. Shouted the kunoichi loudly. Be gentle with him, little panda. Said the jounin, his single visible eye smiling creepily. Perhaps you could wait until after the exams, nay? Tenten swiped at the jounin with a kunai, only for it to pass harmlessly through the illusion. The sound of Kakashi's good-natured chuckling echoed throughout the street. Messing with impressionable young genin? Priceless. Location, Forest of Death, 1 year before the fall. You have achieved an honor few shinobi can claim to possess. You now serve the will of fire from the depths of the shadows, a hidden blade, poised in the defense of the village. The cutting edge of your village's sword, you have answered a higher calling. Welcome to Umbu. Welcome to the Hunter Corps. Rise, Kitsune, and receive your mark. The blonde shinobi rose from his kneeled position in the illustrious Forest of Death, his black and red fox mask grinning ominously in the moonlight. Exposing the inside of his forearm to the Hunter Corps commander, the newly initiated Black Ops soldier was silent as an intricate tattoo made from complicated seals was placed on his arm. When it was finished, a tribal-looking eagle was stained into his skin, marking his status as a hunter, before it disappeared with a burst of chakra into nothingness. For Konoha I will serve, heart, mind, body, and soul. For Konoha I will kill, none shall escape my blade, and death will greet our enemies. For Konoha I will die, as those who came before, for those who will come after. For as long as the will of fire burns bright, Konoha will not fall, said the blonde solemnly, his bright blue eyes shining bright behind the grinning fox mask. Believe it, man, this mission sucks, grumbled Kotetsu, running his hand through his long spiky hair. This is like guard duty, but lamer it's garrison duty. Talk about a pain in the ass, Naruto silently agreed with his newest teammate. Standing watch in one of Konoha's many outposts was not what he'd imagined he'd be doing when he was sent to the past. Besides, wasn't he forbidden from taking any missions dealing with Konoha's security until after his probation? HMMPH, the old man probably wants you out of his hair for the exams, Gaki. You're too much of an unknown. If I was in charge, I would have chopped off your head and been done with it. Rolling his eyes at his sword's bloodthirsty nature, Naruto barely paid attention to the arguing Chunin beside him. Kotetsu and Izumo were normally fun to be around, but at times fought like brothers. Brothers. Naruto hated the word. It made him think of Sasuke, the bastard from his time, and how far he'd fallen. Last he heard his former best friend got himself killed fighting his brother. Apparently Orochimaru's training wasn't enough. Damn the snake to hell. Oh God, stop with the woe is me act. I'm getting sick of it. Man, next you'll start having flashbacks. The Konoha outpost on the northernmost edge of the Land of Fire was typical of the Leaf Village. Situated in the tree line south of the Land of Rice, Outpost No. 1, nicknamed Blood Gulch, consisted of an above-ground fort, complete with a barracks and an armory. The outpost served as a forward operating base for Konoha, where numerous border patrols were organized and sent out, and also established a military presence in the area. Unlike the other bases situated on the borders of stronger villages, the outpost on the border of a minor and somewhat friendly village was normally kept at minimum strength. In charge of the outpost was an older jounin named Mimura Hamaki. A veteran of the Third Shinobi War, the shinobi was surprised to discover the younger brother of his savior during the war was to be under his command. His reaction, needless to say, was awkward for the young Namikaze. Flashback 48 hours prior, Jounin Yuzuki Yugogo and squad reporting as ordered, sir, said the violet-haired shinobi respectfully to the jounin behind the desk. Surrounded by paperwork, the older jounin glanced up from his work and waved the shinobi to at ease. Wearing a bandana over his slowly graying hair, the shinobi held the air of an experienced commander. Welcome to Konoha Outpost Number 1. When I asked for more manpower, I didn't expect to receive such of the Jounin paused knowingly. Esteemed team, your presence is welcome regardless. I am Mimura Hamaki, Jounin commander of the northern border. Thank you, Mimura-san. Hokage-sama deemed it prudent to send an experienced team with Konoha's newest addition. Cocking an eyebrow at the Umbu captain, the Jounin motioned for an introduction to the ninja. Stepping forward, Naruto gave a small bow to the commander before introducing himself. I am Namikaze Zaraki, newly appointed Tokubetsu Jounin of Konoha. Namikaze? Impossible. The Namikaze line died out with Minato, said Mimura, with a hint of sadness. Naruto's eyes widened at the casual use of his father's first name before replying, I was born outside of Konoha, Mimura-sama. I am Namikaze Minato's younger half-brother, on which side is still unknown. The old Jounin stared intensely at the blonde swordsman before looking towards Yugogo for confirmation. At the terse nod, Mimura rose from his seated position and rummaged through one of his desk drawers. A grunt of satisfaction sounded as the old soldier found what he was looking for. Pulling an object wrapped in silk, the Jounin moved in front of the Namikaze. It's only right I give you this then, Namikaze, said the Jounin gruffly, ignoring the curious looks the group of Jounin and Chunin were giving him. Slowly unwrapping the unexpected gift, the time-traveling shinobi's eyes widened in shock. Inside laid an old three-pronged kunai. Hiroshin no Jutsu. His father's legacy. The seal is long gone, but your brother saved my life with this very kunai during the war. Take it. Naruto nodded his head in thanks, his mind running in circles at what was in his hands. A remnant of his father, the man who was once his childhood hero, and the man who cursed him with the demon fox. The Namikaze was barely aware when his team was dismissed and sent to the barracks. Some scars ran deep, and the kunai in his hand was a stark reminder. And flashback. You just had a flashback, didn't you? I fucking called it. Stop being so predictable. 'Tis annoying. Naruto ignored his sensei as he restlessly spun his father's kunai. Leaning his back against the wall, the shinobi waited within one of Konoha's observation posts with Kotetsu and Izumo. His new squad leader, the illustrious Yuzuki Yugogo, was on patrol with Hate, while Reido and Ginma went to assist in the construction of another observation post to the east. Since arriving at the outpost, the Jounin commander quickly made use of the shinobi, delegating them relatively simple, but tedious tasks, in order to relieve the already overworked shinobi under his command. With a garrison of only 20 Chunin and a half-dozen Jounin, the outpost was grateful for all the manpower they could get. I mean, come on, why send us all the way out here anyway? I was totally looking forward to messing with the gen and taking the exams, exclaimed Kotetsu, still complaining to his best friend Izumo. By Kami, give it up, Kobaka, complaining isn't gonna help, said Izumo, admonishing his longtime best friend, smacking the back of his head for good measure. Oh wow. Damn it. I told you to stop calling me that. Naruto was about to chuckle before he suddenly froze. The stiffening of the two bickering Chunin meant they felt it too. Unknown chakra signatures. Well, it looked like things wouldn't be so boring after all. Wahaha. Finally. Something to entertain myself with, exclaimed Zabuza happily before muttering darkly, stupid ungrateful student ignoring me. I'm a freaking sword now, what am I gonna do? Swing myself? Make swishing noises? Kotetsu, report back to Mimura-san immediately. Namikaze and I will investigate, quickly ordered Izumo to his best friend. Kotetsu made to protest before discreet hand signs from the other Chunin cut him off. Recognizing the code as the standard Black Ops signals, Naruto realized that Izumo didn't trust him to warn the others, due to his unknown origins. Alright then, decided the Namikaze, he'd have to prove himself trustworthy to the other Chunin the old-fashioned way. Namikaze, let's go. Quickly and quietly moving through the trees, Naruto suddenly raised his hand, motioning the Chunin to stop. Pointing down from their vantage point, Naruto brought attention to a set of fresh tracks. Landing softly, the two examined the tracks closer. Looks recent, couldn't have been too long ago. Half a dozen shinobi. Why didn't they bother hiding their tracks? Muttered Izumo quietly, running his fingertips across the ground. It's because they're still here, growled Naruto, pulling his massive sword from his back, while releasing his killer intent. Finally! Bathe me in blood, my apprentice, it's been too long. Wahahaha, not a bad deduction for Konoha trash. Too bad we'll be killing you now, came an oily voice from the tree line. Despite not wearing any headbands, Naruto immediately recognized the camouflaged uniform the 6 enemy shinobi wore. Sound ninja. An explosion rocked the countryside, sending deadly shards of wood throughout the forest. A wave of kunai burst through the smoke, flying at incredible speeds towards the Konoha shinobi. Launching his body forward, the Namikaze twisted through the flying wall of death with impressive dexterity. Growling ferally, the time-traveling ninja swung his sword in front of him at incredible speeds, slicing through the first sound shinobi to meet his charge. Blood splattered his face as he moved to attack the leader of the sound patrol. Sparks flew as his sword crashed into a set of crossed kunai, the force of his attack pushing the enemy shinobi back. Swish! Swing! Clang! Stab next! Stab next, from the corner of his eye, Naruto noticed Izumo attack two of the other shinobi. That left the leader and his two Chunin lackeys for him to deal with. The Namikaze's eyes narrowed. The more the merrier. Flipping backwards in order to avoid a barrage of kunai, the shinobi planted his feet and flung Kubikiri Hocho. The blade whistled through the air, penetrating the stomach of the leader, pinning him to a tree. The screams of the shinobi's pain echoed throughout the forest. "You bastard Leaf, you're a dead man!" shouted one of the other surviving sound ninja. Suddenly, the shinobi's body twisted and flames burst into existence around the man's arms. The other sound ninja took his cue from his comrade and various spines burst from his body. "You'll see why Konoha shinobi are inferior." The lanky body of the enemy ninja spun quickly, creating a mini vortex of fire that surrounded his body. The other shinobi started launching the spines from his body at Naruto at impossible speeds. Naruto grimaced as one of the spikes pierced his thigh, forcing him temporarily to one knee. "Die, Leaf scum!" A wall of enhanced fire burst towards the Namikaze. Naruto's eyes flashed crimson. "Futon de Tapa!" The sound shinobi froze in shock. As his flames returned to him, the flames changed from a fiery red to a burning white. Half a second later he was turned into ash. Naruto kneeled on the ground, panting softly. He'd gotten sloppy. Two Chunin-level ninja, no matter how much they were enhanced by Orochimaru's seal, shouldn't have even touched him. He was the fallen, Konoha's demon, the bloody Crimson Death, one of his world's most feared missing neens. Naruto savagely ripped out the offending spike from his leg. If he was going to fix the future, it was time to take things seriously. He had Sound Ninja to kill. "You alright, Namikaze?" came the voice of his Izumo from behind him. "Yes," said Naruto, as he retrieved his sword from the body of the sound leader. A sickening pop echoed as the dead man's body fell from his sword, collapsing in a broken heap on the ground. "Bastard got off a lucky shot." "Fuck yes. That was fun. Can we go kill some more?" "Please? Understood. We need to report back now. Their uniforms suggest they're part of a larger group. Any of your guys have a headband?" Naruto shook his head in the negative. "Roger that, let's move out." "Damn it. Stop ignoring me. I'm going crazy." Naruto froze for a millisecond, incredulous. The two shinobi bounded back through the trees where they were quickly met by a group of Konoha shinobi. Flashing through the standard recognition hand signs, they were escorted back to the outpost. The Jounin commander took one look at the blood-covered shinobi and quickly barked out a question. "What the hell happened out there, soldier?" "Sir, we were engaged by an unknown enemy patrol consisting of 6 Chunin-level shinobi led by 1 Jounin-level ninja. The enemy initiated first contact, forcing Namikaze-san and I to split their forces and engage them separately. We were unable to capture a prisoner, sir," quickly reiterated Izumo. "Kami, damn it," growled Miura. The wizened old Jounin quickly gathered his thoughts before giving out his orders. "We are on alert status red. I want the guard doubled all around the facility." Motioning to a nearby Jounin, the shinobi continued, "Fetch me Captain Yuzuki and the rest of her squad. And somebody get me a messenger hawk. We're going hunting." "Back in Konoha, eh? What's this, Kakashi-sensei?" loudly questioned Naruto, gesturing wildly towards the pieces of paper in his teacher's hand. This drawled the copynin as he passed the forms out to his genin team. "My fluorescent little student, our entry forms for this year's Chunin exams." Naruto warily took the paper from his teacher, his sensei's creepy eye smile in full effect. "HN, now I was gonna give you these at the last second just for kicks, but one of my lovely colleagues threatened to gut me if I did." Kakashi nearly cringed at the thought of his genjutsu-wielding friend's threat. No respect for their elders, those rookie Jounin, thought Kakashi with amusement. "So if you want to apply for a promotion to Chunin, I'll see you at the academy in a week." "Ja-ni," quipped the older shinobi, before disappearing in a flurry of leaves. "Stupid Kakashi-sensei." Being stupid, grumbled Naruto, annoyed at his perverted sensei's antics. Sasuke scoffed in agreement, while Sakura seemed to be in the process of memorizing the forms in her hand. Oh, well, time to train. Those freaky spider demons are so going to die. Try and eat me, huh? I'll show them." Leaping to his feet, the orange-clad genin sped off towards his newest training grounds. Sakura looked at her insane teammate with some amusement. The blonde shinobi really had a crazy imagination. Sasuke, however, raised a brow at his idiot teammate's remark. "Spider demons? That sounded interesting." While Naruto may be a loud and annoying braggart, he was not someone prone to lying. Curiosity piqued, the last loyal Uchiha stealthily followed his teammate into the distance. Naruto, unaware of his teammate's presence, quickly sped across Konoha, and bounded over the military-grade fence that surrounded Training Grounds 44. His swordsman cousin guy might be a crazy drunk, but he sure knew how to fight. Besides, he had a bone to pick with those damn spider freaks, stupid bastards shooting string at him from their butts. Gross. When his sword-wielding cousin chased him not too long ago, Naruto learned many important things, intentional teachings or not. First, was that someone chasing you with a gigantic sword was freaking terrifying, and that he needed to get himself one as soon as possible. Second, and most importantly, was that the only way he could get better was if he fought stuff as much as possible. Fighting his mummy of an uncle made his speed and instincts shoot up crazily. He'd learned so much in that fight that Naruto just knew he'd be Hokage soon. Leaping through the trees, Naruto recalled the last of the drunken lessons Zaraki gave him. Always strike first, strike fast, and leave chaos in your wake. For some reason, the line struck a chord in the young shinobi. It was similar to his prankster mantra, and unbeknownst to him, was the unofficial motto of Konoha's Hunter Corps. Flipping awkwardly to the ground, the young genin landed in front of a denser part of the forest, filled with spider webs. Naruto growled angrily to himself. When Zaraki had chased him into the forest, the spider bastards thought they'd make him their next meal. Try and make him into ramen, eh? He'd show them, you eight-legged freaks. Come out here and fight me like the bastards you are. Try and eat the future Hokage, huh? Well, he's here to kick your freaky asses. Of course, the lesson on subtlety was lost on the fluorescent ninja. Naruto crossed his arms impatiently as he waited for the red-eyed spiders to come at him. He didn't have to wait long. The first spider flung itself out of the trees, its mandibles dripping with venomous saliva. Naruto quickly rolled under the attack, before twisting around with a roundhouse kick, sending the creature into a tree with a sickening crunch. Ha! You'll have to try harder than that if you want to touch the next Hokage, boasted Naruto loudly towards the fallen spider, pointing dramatically at the crumpled form. The loud, angry clicking sounds from behind him caused the ninja to slowly turn around. Hundreds of gleaming red eyes stared back at him. Oh crap! The sounds of insane laughter and explosions welcomed Uchiha Sasuke when he finally caught up with his teammate. Following the orange genin into this insane forest was probably not one of his smartest ideas, seeing as rats of unusual sizes, i.e. massive freaking rats of doom, promptly jumped his unaware ass. Seriously. Not cool. Finally, after wandering the freaky forest, avoiding death by killer fauna and overgrown mutated animals, the last Uchiha finally came upon the sight of his teammate fighting an army of massive killer spiders. Sasuke rolled his eyes at his teammate's actions. Who mooned an entire spider colony in the middle of a fight? The Uchiha jumped from his perch and landed gracefully next to Naruto. Eh? Sasuke team? What you doing here? Questioned Naruto loudly, as he avoided a deadly swipe, seemingly effortlessly. The subsequent exploding spider showered the two genin with steaming green-colored gore. Apparently Naruto tagged the spider with a low-powered explosive. Only Naruto would be that reckless with explosives. Grunted Sasuke noncommittally, as he shifted into a fighting stance. Bah, whatever. Don't answer me then, you bastard. First one to get eaten loses, Konoha's border. This is fucking bullshit, growled the time-traveling shinobi angrily, as he paced the inside of the outpost walls. After Yugogo and the rest of the squad were recalled after the attack, the Umbu captain left him behind, due to his probationary status. Damn it, they were sound shinobi, probably already on their way to Konoha. They'd already been gone for almost a week, and here he was stuck back at the outpost when he could have been on a preemptive strike on the Odo bastards grated at his nerves. What was the point of being in the past, if he was constantly kept away from changing things? Izaraki, you alright? Questioned Ginma, the Senbon chewing shinobi raising his brow at the shinobi questionably. Ginma was the only other shinobi left behind when the team left, with Yugogo taking Hate, Kotetsu, Izumo, and Namishi Rado with her. Naruto glanced back at the other shinobi, the Jounin watching him warily. Yeah, I'm fine. Just annoyed that I was pulled from the mission, said the blonde shortly. How the hell am I gonna prove myself, if I'm stuck here? Ginma looked at him with interest, as he calmly leaned on the inside of the wall, his trademark saban in his mouth. Any particular reason you're so anxious to prove yourself? To be honest, it's a bit suspicious, given your origins. Naruto resisted the urge to stare incredulously at the special Jounin. He was in the past, trying to save his village, and they thought he was a kami-forsaken spy. You're still an idiot, Gaki. Of course they're suspicious of your dumb ass. You're a fucking unknown. You got a mysterious past, a dangerous-ass sword, and a shaky relation to the fourth Hokage. You fucking stupid or something? I agree with the rusty sword. It seems the gods failed to account for their chosen vessel's lack of common sense, boomed the demon lord for the first time in weeks. Its silence finally broken after the argument on top of the Hokage's monument. Who the fuck asked for your opinion, you fuzzy asshole? Go shit your fur balls somewhere else, you bastard. Soon, Kirinin, I will free myself from this prison, for the sole purpose of destroying your existence. Haven't we gone over this, you overbearing sack of fur? For an ancient demon, you're pretty shitty at the whole philosophical debate gig. I have lived for millennia gone past, and you dare to question my wisdom? I have consumed your ancestors' for lesser insult. Ignoring the raging voices in his head, Naruto turned to Ginma and spoke quietly. You've been watching me, I know that. Why else would I have been assigned to this team? You are all obviously Umbu, most likely the same Hokage's guard I sensed when I first arrived, said Zaraki. Ignoring the look Ginma was giving him, I joined Konoha for the Uzumaki kid. Naruto. He's family, even if the Hokage won't let it be official. And I'll be damned if anything happened to family. The blonde shinobi clenched his fists at the sudden feeling of affection he had for his younger self. The boy felt like a naive nephew to the older Nin, rather than just a younger and stupider version of himself. Hell, now that he thought about it, the kid really was family now, Another precious person he was determined to protect. Believe it, Databao, you both fucking suck. Fair enough. You're alright by me, Namikaze. A bit overzealous, but okay, said the Senban, chewing Shinobi casually. You up for some chow? There should still be some leftovers in the. A sudden crash cut off the Jounin's next words. Trees were bursting into splinters all around the fort, as a massive purple barrier sprung up around the perimeter. What the? Enemy contacts! We've got incoming! Shouted a nearby Chunin frantically as a legion of shinobi came pouring out of the darkness. A spear made of bone silenced the young shinobi permanently as it pinned the team to the ground. Naruto instantly transformed into combat mode, pulling his massive sword from his back. What the hell? He was pretty damn sure Sound never attacked before the invasion. Besides, why would they attack now? The Chunin exams were only just starting, and the third exam was still scheduled for roughly a month from now. It didn't make any sense? It doesn't matter if it fucking makes sense, Gaki. Kill the motherfuckers and be done with it. It's swishy clang clang time, damn it. A quick glance towards the outpost's upper walls showed the Konoha ninja launching a hasty counterattack. Various deadly jutsus flew violently through the sky, and the echoing clash of weaponry sounded loudly in the last remnants of the fading sun. An explosion of splintered wood and body parts blasted the besieged post violently, as missiles made of bone rained upon them. Katon, go Kakyu no Jutsu! Shouted a nearby Konoha Chunin. The grand fireball technique set fire to the forest around him, its flames giving off the only source of light in the fast-approaching darkness. They're coming through. Somebody get a messenger hawk in the air. We need to warn Urk. Naruto froze for a millisecond. The screams. It was just like, get your shit together, Gaki. Naruto's eyes narrowed. Zabuza-sensei was right. No time for thought. Only action. And without another moment's hesitation, the killer of Konoha, the Kyuubi reborn, the Crimson Death, threw himself into the fray. Well, looks like you all showed up. That's very good. I smiled Kakashi as he gazed upon his cute little genin. Sakura looked apprehensive about the whole ordeal, while Sasuke and Naruto on the other hand both had dark bags under their eyes, and their movements seemed a bit tired and stiff. And was that the faint smell of blood he smelled on them? Maybe he should pay more attention to his little brats in the future. Nah, sensei? Why do you sound so surprised we all showed up? Asked Sakura quietly, wringing her hands together nervously. Well, if you didn't all show up, you wouldn't be eligible to participate. Quipped the copy ninja happily. It's a team event, you know. Anyway, it's time you go inside. It's not good to be late. The three genin glared at their sensei for his blatant hypocrisy. Ja-ni, said Kakashi cheerily as he disappeared in a flurry of leaves. Woohoo! I am so ready for this. Time to kick some more ass, bastard? Naruto! Don't talk to Sasuke like the HN. Think you can keep up dead last? Interrupted the last loyal Uchiha. Bah! Who saved your sorry ass from that big scary saber-toothed kitty? Bragged Naruto loudly, as he thrusted his thumb towards himself. This guy. Whatever need I remind you about the so-called flying spaghetti monster? That never happened. Sakura could only stare in confusion as the two bantered back and forth. Kitty? Flying monsters? When did those two become so friendly? Sakura noticed the gleam of respect that Sasuke showed to Naruto. Well, if Sasuke approved of the dead last, then maybe she should get to know Naruto better. Obviously there was something special about him if he had the Uchiha seal of approval. In another time, and in another world, the three genin would have come upon a genjutsu on the second floor. Sasuke would fight Rock Lee and the collective Team 7 would be traumatized by a sunset genjutsu for the rest of their lives. Instead, the genin made their way to the third floor of the academy unopposed, and entered a room filled with genin, foreign and domestic. Sasuke-kun! Squealed the blonde-haired Kunoichi as she flew through the air to glomp the object of her affection. Get off of him, Ino pig! So you guys made it in too, eh? Troublesome, said Nara Shikamura tiredly, as he followed behind his teammate. Hell yeah! This'll be a piece of cake, Shika! Exclaimed Naruto boastfully. I'm gonna kick so much as they'll proclaim me Hokage on the spot. Hell no! If anything, me and Akamaru will become Hokage first! Shouted Kiba as him and his team joined the group of rookies. You are foolish if you believe that is your fate, Uzumaki, said a regal voice from behind the container. Ignoring the boasting Inuzuka, the blonde turned around. Naruto grinned happily as he noticed it was Tenten and her team. What's up, Panda-chan? Eyebrows? Weirdo blind guy. Yash. Hey Naruto-kun, I didn't know you were in the exams? Said Tenten, cocking her head to the side curiously. Ha ha ha, laughed Naruto sheepishly as he scratched the back of his head. I meant to tell ya? Baka laughed Tenten, smacking the orange ninja good-naturedly. You got the goods? Oh yeah. I totally forgot. Here ya go, Panda-chan, said Naruto as he pulled out a summoning scroll. Channeling chakra into it, the demon container summoned out another scroll. Enjoy. Quality goods, made by yours truly. Guaranteed to ruin a bandit's day, and to fend off those pesky assassins. May the Father of Understanding guide you, and remember, we have a zero-return policy. Pitched Naruto dramatically, waving his arms around for emphasis. Before any of the gathered genin could question the blonde's random display, a voice interrupted them. You kids are kinda loud, you know? It's making you all a pretty big target. The rookies turned towards the silver-haired Konoha genin that spoke. Well, just look around you, kiddo. Glares from various foreign shinobi looked back at the rookies, and waves of killer intent wafted through the air. Odd bastards! What the hell are you looking at? Growled Naruto loudly, shaking his fist at the room. I want a piece of this. Several shinobi stepped back at the surprisingly large amount of killer intent that emanated from the small genin. See? Nothing to worry about, said Naruto nonchalantly as he stepped back. So who are you again? The other shinobi shifted his eyeglasses carefully. I am Yakushi Kabuto, genin of Konoha. It's a pleasure to meet all of you. Yash! Truly you must be a fountain of youth, Kabuto-san, to give such helpful advice to your younger comrades. If I can't advise 50 of my comrades, I'll run 100 laps around Konoha. On my hands! And if I can't do that, as Rock Lee ranted about youth to a thoroughly disoriented Kabuto, a scarred ninja entered the room and unleashed a wave of killer intent. Shut the hell up! The scarred Jounin glared at the assembled shinobi before continuing. The Chunin exams have begun. Now follow me. Following the Jounin into a large classroom, the collective genin waited as they were assigned seats. Naruto leaned back in his chair as he eyed the rock ninja that sat on his right, and the weird mask-wearing ninja on his left. Listen up, brats, because I'm only saying this once. This is the first test of the Chunin exams. You will be given 10 questions that you must answer within the time limit. Fail to answer one correctly? You're eliminated. Get caught cheating? You're gone. Look at me funny? Just try it. Several genin scoffed quietly while others gulped with fear. The 10th question will not be asked until the end of the test. You have 1 hour. Begin. Naruto flipped over the paper on his desk. Question 1. You come upon a fork in the road. You have only 3 kunai, 1 explosive tag, and a summoning scroll. Since you are deep in enemy territory, the odds of armed conflict are extremely high. Knowing that the information you hold is vital to the war effort. Which way is north? Naruto stared blankly at the first question. What the hell? Pausing for a second, the Uzumaki shrugged his shoulders and wrote down his answer. Up. Naruto grinned. This test was too easy. Far away, at the edges of Konoha, locked in mortal combat, the older incarnation of Naruto winced for no apparent reason. The soft scratching sound of writing echoed throughout the testing room as genin either failed or successfully cheated. Sasuke used his Sharingan to copy the movements of a nearby shinobi. Tenten utilized a delicate setup of mirrors, while Kiba used Akamaru to bark out the answers to him. Naruto, on the other hand, got bored halfway through the test, and decided to catch up on sleep that he missed during his training in the forest. Time's up, growled the proctor. Now here's the final question of the exam. You have the choice whether you answer the question or not. If you choose not to, you will immediately be eliminated. Why the hell wouldn't we answer it then? Asked a genin from Rain rudely, his voice muffled through his rebreather. If you answer the question incorrectly, then you and your team will never be promoted to Chunin. Cries of outrage sounded throughout the room. Shut the hell up, growled Ibiki, unleashing another wave of killer intent. You have 2 minutes to decide. I quit, called out a Konoha ninja, a Chunin plant, causing his team to be eliminated. Slowly but surely, more teams filed out of the room. In another time, Uzumaki Naruto would have made a speech, declaring his ninja way was never to quit, causing many to reconsider their decisions, and to continue the exam. But alas, the young shinobi was sleeping blissfully in the back corner, unaware of his surroundings. Sakura frowned nervously. What if she got this wrong? Sasuke-kun would never forgive her. Glancing at the confident form of her crush, she decided it would hinge on Naruto. If he looked the slightest bit nervous, she would quit. If he wasn't, she'd stay. Turning slowly to look at her orange teammate, her eyes widened in shock. In the back of the room, the orange-clad genin was leaning lazily with his back to the wall. His feet were crossed on the desk in front of him, his hands interlocked behind his head, and Sakura just knew if she could see his eyes, they'd be brimming with confidence. Her spirit restored, she turned back towards the proctor. If Sasuke-kun and Naruto weren't worried, then she wouldn't be either. If she had only known her blonde teammate was happily dreaming about swimming in ocean full of ramen. Those of you who remain pass, said the torture expert dramatically. As Chunin, you are expected to face adversity and overcome it regardless the situation. You will need to show courage along with strength in order to accomplish the mission. Unraveling his bandana from his head, Ibiki revealed his scars to the room. Chunin will be faced with danger, and as experienced soldiers of your nation, you must be able to endure hell and high waters for your village. That is what it means to be a Chunin. As Ibiki finished his speech, he looked around the room carefully, noticing the distinct lack of remaining genin. The Jounin scoffed at how many would-be Chunin quit at the first sign of adversity, his psychological attack weeding out most of the competition in the first exam. It seemed that the genin who were left were made of sterner stuff. Perhaps this year would have an interesting batch of. Ibiki paused. Was the Uzumaki brat sleeping? An explosion of glass and smoke rocked the classroom as a female kunoichi burst into the room. A massive banner behind her, proclaiming her as Mitarashi Enko, seductress extraordinaire. Listen up. This isn't the time to be celebrating. I'm the proctor for the next exam. Let's go. Follow me. shouted the purple-haired Kunoichi loudly, raising her fist into the air. The silence was deafening. "Anko, you're early, dead Pandabiki." Anko couldn't help but grin sheepishly at her mistake. "Hey, quiet up front. People are trying to sleep back here," mumbled a voice sleepily from the back of the room. In a flash, Anko was in the back of the room holding up a now wide-awake Naruto by the scruff of his collar. "Ano? Who the hell are you? What's going on? Is the test over yet?" A startled Naruto rambled, twisting and turning, before he was suddenly interrupted by a kunai running across his cheek, and a heavy body leaning on him from behind. Your blood tastes just like Rikikun," whispered the Kunoichi throatily. "I wonder if you'll have his stamina too?" Naruto blushed bright red at the woman's insinuations. The crazy half-naked lady and his mummy uncle cousin guy got together? Naruto shivered involuntarily. "Scary. Get off me, you crazy psychopath. Unfu and Rikikun are the same." "So unappreciative," pouted Anko, before throwing the blonde-haired genin screaming out the window. Pausing to look back at the incredulous genin, the Kunoichi continued, "Well, what the hell are you waiting for? Last team there gets eliminated." The room burst into disorder as 12.5 teams tried to leave at the same time. Nara Shikamaru sighed tiredly, as he felt himself get dragged across Konoha by his overzealous blonde teammate. This whole Chunin exam thing was such a drag, but with the threat of death by frying pan courtesy of his mother, it was the lesser of two evils. Appearing at the barbed wire gates that surrounded the next exam area, the shadow-using ninja instantly knew which training ground he was at. The infamous Forest of Death. Training Grounds 44. According to his father, the forest was used only by high-ranking ninja and was the official training grounds for Konoha's Hunter-nin Corps. Troublesome. As the second proctor finished explaining the goal of the second exam, the genius shinobi noticed something peculiar out of the corner of his eye. Team 7. Consisting of Uzumaki Naruto, Uchiha Sasuke, and Harino Sakura. The dead last, the Rookie of the Year, and the top Kunoichi. It seemed to the Nara that since graduation, there had been a dynamic change in the interactions between Naruto and Sasuke. The loudmouth used to despise the Uchiha, whilst Sasuke barely gave the hyperactive shinobi the time of day. If the fist bump he just witnessed and the identical feral grins meant anything, then those two were going to be a troublesome duo to watch out for. Especially if that offhand remark he just heard was true. Note to self: avoid giant demon spiders. Apparently they taste bad. You sense that? Hissed Sasuke quietly to his teammates. Sakura only looked at him with confusion, while Naruto on the other hand grinned mischievously. "Don't worry about it, team," said the Uzumaki nonchalantly as he interlocked his hands behind his head. "Remember that horde of weird killer rabbits?" Sasuke's eyes widened minutely in shock. Was he talking about when? Sasuke joined his orange comrade with an almost sadistic smile. "When? How? Who do you think you're talking to, bastard?" said Naruto cheekily as he raised his hands into the release seal. Like Zaraki-sensei said, "I'm unpredictable." A cacophony of deafening explosions rocked the forest of Training Grounds 44. 3 stunned shinobi fell smoking out of the canopy, their bodies burned and unconscious, but alive. A tree came crashing down upon the Konoha genin, narrowly missing the fallen forms of the 3 enemy genin. Naruto chuckled nervously and scratched the back of his head. Whoops. Sasuke rolled his eyes at the blonde's antics before searching the bodies of the ninja in front of them. Their headbands identified them as ninja from Rain, but it was made obvious by the respirators that the trio all wore. An odd choice of equipment, thought the Uchiha, but potentially useful nonetheless. Rummaging through their equipment pouches, he relieved them of most of their weapons, and tossed the heaven scroll towards his blonde teammate. What did you do, Naruto?" asked Sakura incredulously. Ever since they entered the forest, those two were acting really weird. It was almost as if they knew exactly where they were going and where and what to avoid. And then there was Naruto, the dead last annoying prankster. But he wasn't acting like an idiot though. Instead, he was being a vital part of the team. The blonde ninja had created a score of clones the second they left the gates into the forest. Hinging them into copies of Team 7, he then sent them off in various directions. When she asked what he was doing, he responded with a simple, "Distracting, aren't they?" When had Naruto become a competent ninja? Sakura-chan laughed the orange ninja sheepishly, his voice echoing throughout the smoking clearing. "Just a bit of my trusty old explosive notes, activated with a remote trigger. Designed them myself." Remote trigger? Himself? Still gotta work out the bugs though. Continued Naruto, as the trio set off again into the forest canopy. "I think the chakra sensor is interfering with the explosive yield, 'cause that was a bit bigger than I meant it to be. Maybe it was the transmitter seal that sucked up the energy from my clones or something, or maybe..." Sakura stared at her teammate as he proceeded to ramble on about the intricacies of using an odd-numbered transmitting seal to correspond with a simple even-numbered chakra receiver, and why maybe he should add in a conversion seal to some sort of suppression matrix. Most of the advanced concepts he was spouting about went right over her head. Since when did Naruto become so unpredictable? The pink-haired genin shook her head in amusement, and looked back at the rambling ninja beside her with a hint of fondness. The idiot really was unpredictable, wasn't he? Such an interesting group you are, said an oily voice from all around the Konoha genin. The collective members of Team 7 halted in their tracks, before jumping down towards the forest floor, their weapons out. How nostalgic. The standard Konoha defensive formation, said the voice again, as the shinobi stepped out of the darkness and into the clearing before them. The insignia on the shinobi's headband showed that she was a kunoichi from the grass village. Who the hell do you think you are, sneaking up on us like that? Shouted Naruto loudly, pointing his finger at the shinobi. You're messing with the future Hokage and his team, believe it? Kakuka laughed, the shinobi amused, before she continued, then perhaps I'll test the future Hokage along with the last loyal Uchiha. Killing intent burst from the kunoichi, her power saturating the very air. Sasuke fell to his knees, the pressure on his body so great. Sakura stood quivering, unmoving in her fear. It felt as if they were already dead, and was just waiting for the deed to be done. Perhaps you aren't, as the disguised snake Sannin was suddenly interrupted by a swarm of orange-clad clones falling from the canopy screaming battle cries. Kakuka, what is this? You are a lively one, aren't you? Uzumaki Naruto wiped the sweat off his brow as he kicked Sasuke, knocking the Uchiha over. Snap out of it, team! Let's kick this chick's ass! Shouted the orange ninja loudly as he created an army of clones, sending them forward to their deaths. Shuriken Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, hissed the kunoichi, flinging a single ninja star at the clones in front of her. A metal wave of death suddenly appeared, destroying the army of blondes instantly into smoke. Stepping forth from the dissipating smoke, the kunoichi continued mockingly, you'll have to do better than that, future Hokage. A sudden plume of fire exploded from beneath the kunoichi, consuming the area in a massive explosion. Dirt rained from the sky in chunks and Naruto sighed happily as the smoke cleared again. You are starting to annoy me, child, hissed the disguised Orochimaru angrily as he lifted the blonde by his neck. Now you die. The snake Sannin twisted violently and threw the orange-clad genin to the side. The genin crashed through several trees before falling limply to the ground. Sasuke stared at the fallen form of his comrade. The last Uchiha shook as his Sharingan activated itself out of anger. The blood pooling around the body of his rival burned itself permanently into his mind. Your turn, Sasuke-kun, said the Sannin malevolently. Your teammate was impressive, however. Let's see if your eyes are also up to the task. The last Uchiha dove to the side as a massive snake burst from the ground, its dark green scales shining in the sunlight, with milky white venom dripping from its jaws. Get the hell away from me! Yelled Sasuke angrily, flinging a set of kunai at the abnormally large snake, blinding the creature. A second later had the Uchiha speeding through a familiar set of seals, Katan, Gokaki no Jutsu. A fireball burst from his lips, setting the thrashing creature on fire. He let out a sigh of relief as the snake burned itself into a crisp. Prey shouldn't relax, especially when there's a predator nearby. Sasuke glared at the enemy kunoichi, his fists clenched. You've always wanted to surpass me. That's why I'm going to let you live. If you wish to kill me, then hate me, despise me, and by all means flee, cling to your wretched life. This bastard, you're messing with the future Hokage and his team, believe it, was going to die. Sasuke burst into motion, throwing an incredibly fast roundhouse kick at the Sannin. Undeterred by the casual way his opponent blocked his attack, the Uchiha lashed out with a flurry of anger-induced punches. Kakuka! Show me more! Growling in anger, Sasuke flung a set of shuriken quickly at his taunting opponent. Dodging under the vicious strike the enemy shinobi threw at him, he rolled behind the shinobi, his Sharingan guiding his movements. The last Uchiha manipulated the wires in his hands quickly. The shuriken that he threw came flying back, wrapping up the kunoichi tightly. Excellent work, Sasuke-kun. Sasuke ignored the mocking words of his opponent, and went through the seals of his favorite jutsu. Katan, Gokaki no Jutsu, Sasuke grunted in satisfaction as he watched his opponent burn. There was no way the grass ninja could have possibly survived. Kakuka laughed, the snake Sannin, as he suddenly appeared before him, kicking Sasuke violently in the chest, sending him crashing to the ground. That was an impressive show, Sasuke-kun. Too bad your eyes failed to match the power of your brother. Sasuke glared at the ninja with a mixture of fear and hate. My name is Orochimaru. And we will see each other again, Sasuke-kun, said the snake summoner as his neck elongated unnaturally. Now then, my gift to you. Sasuke could only watch as the Fang Shinobi came closer and closer to his immobile form. A shadow suddenly appeared over him, the sickening smell of blood wafting over the clearing. Hey team, grimaced the bloodied form of his teammate from above him, the intimidating silhouette of Orochimaru biting into his shoulder. Throwing his right elbow back, the orange genin caught Orochimaru in the side, throwing the snake Sannin off him in the process. Now I don't owe you for wave any anymore. Sasuke's eyes widened as Naruto collapsed in front of him. Unmoving, insolent child, roared Orochimaru angrily. The damned brat took the seal meant for the Uchiha, and without Yugo nearby to provide the necessary enzyme to create another one, the snake Sannin growled angrily. He'd have to mark Sasuke some other time. I will return, Sasuke-kun, and you will receive my gift, hissed Orochimaru, shaking with rage. Sensing approaching chakra signatures, the Sannin decided discretion was the better part of valor. It wasn't time for an extended conflict. He had an invasion to orchestrate. He would have his revenge. Sasuke and Sakura watched in silence as Orochimaru disappeared into the darkness. A pained groan called their attention to their fallen teammate. Naruto, Sakura, grimaced Sasuke painfully, the act of simply talking sending him into a world of pain, Help NAR Naruto, I'll keep watch. But Sasuke-kun, your protested Sakura as she cringed at the injured form of her crush. Just do it, Sakura. Okay, Sasuke-kun. Damn it, Naruto, don't die. Konoha's border. Someone bring down that damn barrier. Die, Konoha scum. Bring it the fuck on. The coppery scent of blood permeated the entire battlefield, as the slippery substance pooled across the ground. Flames danced in the darkness, setting the countryside alight, and dark smoke billowed around the fort. Namikaze Zaraki danced around the deadly strike of a sound shinobi, before blurring into motion. Slamming the ninja directly in the stomach, the time traveler wrapped his other arm around the unfortunate shinobi's neck and twisted violently. A sickening crack echoed as the man fell limply to the floor. Booyah, motherfucker! How you like them apples? Without a second's hesitation, the Namikaze spun around a hasty stab from behind, catching the offending shinobi's outstretched arm. A quick jab at the shinobi's elbow caused the Otonin to cry out in agony as the bones in his arm shattered, before being cut off as a kunai found his throat. Zaraki, on me! Called out a hoarse voice nearby. Naruto spared a quick glance in the calling ninja's direction. Ginma, the Senban using ninja, was currently finishing off an overzealous sound chunin. Deciding to assist Ginma, the time traveler took off with a sudden burst of speed. Noticing a sound genin charging his person out of the corner of his eye, Naruto barely slowed as he cleaved the man in half with his massive blade. We need to move, Zaraki. The commander is engaging the leader of the attack, said Ginma quickly, his breathing hard. We need to bring down the barrier and get the others out of here. We need to warn Konoha. Hi. Agreed, growled out the Namikaze, as his fingers flew through the seals of the Kanai Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. A wave of deadly metal pinned two unfortunate sound ninja to the walls, the sheer amount of blades penetrating them a clear sign of the deaths. What's the plan then? Ginma grinned savagely before replying simply, kill the bastards. Naruto nodded in agreement as he followed the Umbu towards a corner of the massive purple barrier surrounding them. The Namikaze looked back as he felt the earth shake violently. Several Konoha ninja were engaging a bone-wielding ninja. As bone spikes burst from the ground, Naruto's eyes widened at the familiar sight. That was the ninja that he fought momentarily during the failed Sasuke retrieval. I'll worry about the bastard later, we have more weaklings to kill. The two ninja flew through the burning outpost at incredible speeds, only slowing down to rescue a trio injured chunin from her opponents. When they reached the barrier, one of the rescued chunin spoke up tiredly. Don't touch it, Hisaku, and tried to jump through the barrier. It burns what it touches into ash. Ginma swore, how the hell are we going to bring this down? Naruto remained silent. He could hear the sounds of battle echoing behind him. The scent of blood and smoke was thick in the air, and the crashing sound of metal on metal continued to sound. If the barrier wasn't brought down soon, then the entire outpost was going to be overrun. Then bring down the damn barrier, Gaki. Get over that damn fear of clones you have and use that jutsu. The Namikaze grimaced. The sudden pain in his chest struck him like a hit from Lee. He hadn't used either jutsu for more than 3 years. He couldn't. Kami, damn it! Use the fucking jutsu. Twin bursts of smoke appeared beside the bandaged ninja, startling one of the female chunin. Glassy eyes took in its surroundings as the abnormally dead voice of the Namikaze spoke. Get back. When the barrier goes down, prepare to return to Konoha. Inform them of what happened. Prepare for an invasion. I will buy you time. What the hell are you talking about? Prepare to run. Naruto moved almost robotically as he raised a hand to the sky. The two nearby clones manipulating the chakra that was forming in his hands. Futon, Raisin Shuriken, whispered the blonde quietly. Ginma took a step back at the sheer amount of chakra the blonde was using. The wind rose suddenly, and the Senban using ninja was forced to use chakra to hold himself down as he was buffeted by the Namikaze's power. The 4 Konoha shinobi stared in awe at the ball of chakra that was forming above the Tokubetsu Jounin's head, its shape quickly forming a massive shuriken. Then he threw it. The massive jutsu screamed through the air towards the barrier jutsu. Genma's eyes widened in shock as the technique suddenly expanded into insane proportions. The entire battlefield stopped as one, turning towards the screeching sound of the technique grinding into the barrier. Then the world exploded. Ninja of both sides found themselves thrown to the ground, as the sheer power of the technique shattered the previously unbreakable barrier. Both sides gazed in awe at the spot of the explosion. For Konoha! Shouted a renewed chunin, stabbing his tanto into his bewildered opponent. Breaking the momentary pause in fighting, the battle begun anew. Go, I will engage the enemy, said Naruto flatly, turning away from his destructive handiwork. Not again, damn it. What is the meaning of this Kirinin? The Gaki's pretty fucked up, you furry fuck. He got all messed up after the damn snake bastard burned down Konoha. Long story short, the Kage Bunshin the snake summoned during the fall gave their memories to the Gaki. The fucking bastard summoned an army of the damned things. So what? It was the meatbag's clones, not the brat himself. The brat gains the memories of every single clone he summons, you fucking ignorant demon. He turns into a damn machine every time he uses a clone now. Naruto ignored the two voices in his head as he turned away from Ginma and the other chunin. The smell of burnt wood and flesh teased at his heightened senses while memories from before came unbidden from the recesses of his mind. Ignore it, you fucking brat. Kill the sound ninja, then freak out. Naruto's thoughts went blank. Kill the sound ninja. Orders acknowledged. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. growled the time traveler softly. A plume of smoke erupted around the Namikaze. Ginma, who was standing behind the Namikaze, let loose a gasp at the amount of clones his newest comrade had created. Go warn Konoha. I will cover your escape, said the ninja forcefully as he rested his massive sword on his shoulder. The senbon-chewing ninja gave a single terse nod of acknowledgement. Good luck. Naruto turned back towards the burning outpost. Channeling chakra to his feet, the ninja leapt forward with a burst of speed. An army of clones following in his wake. Konoha, Forest of Death. Sakura cringed at the blood that covered both her teammates, the sticky substance clinging to everything it touched. Sakura and Sasuke had dragged their comatose teammate to a small cave they found, where they tried their hardest to help their diminutive teammate. Looking at the pale, unmoving form of her teammate, Sakura couldn't help but shiver at the unnaturalness of it. Naruto was always so lively and vibrant, a source of entertainment wherever he went. But now, Sakura cringed. When that horrible ninja attacked, she couldn't do a thing. She couldn't breathe, she couldn't move. Nothing. She sat and watched as that shinobi, Orochimaru, decimated both her teammates. Her fists shook in shame and fury. She was worthless. But never again. As she wrapped the wounds of her blonde teammate, she vowed by the sticky blood that covered her hands and clothes. She would be useful. She swore it. Sasuke sat perched quietly in a tree overlooking his teammates. His eyes scanned his surroundings constantly, his head always on a swivel. Now I don't owe you for Wave any anymore. Sasuke clenched his hands angrily. That idiot. He was willing to sacrifice his life and dream for him. The last Uchiha. His body shook. He didn't deserve it. That stupid damned idiotic Sasuke could still see Orochimaru coming at him. His mouth widened in a sick parody of a smile. The blonde standing above him, covered in blood, a massive shard of wood stabbed in his side. His Sharingan burned it all into his memory. Though Sasuke didn't grasp it now, he would look back at this moment and realize this was when he swore his loyalty to the Uzumaki. His friend. Sasuke growled inaudibly as he noticed 3 shinobi moving slowly towards his teammates, their headbands signifying ninja from sound. Pulling a kunai from his pouch, the Uchiha leapt down from above, slamming the blade in his hand deep into the shoulder of a dark-haired shinobi, throwing the ninja to the ground. Zaku. The Uchiha rolled quickly away from his opponent, but fell to one knee. Blood gushed from his ears, his equilibrium temporarily lost. A bandaged Nin faced him, his right arm outstretched. Uchiha Sasuke. We've come to kill you, said the Otonin calmly as he stared at his opponent. It's nothing personal, Uchiha-kun, quipped the female sound ninja, ignoring her fallen teammate. We're just following order. A pink blur cut off her next words as Sakura tackled the unaware Kunoichi from the side, pounding her fists violently into the other girl. Sasuke capitalized on the mummy ninja's distracted state by throwing a set of kunai around the ninja. Ignoring the dodging ninja's taunts, he manipulated the wire in his hands. What the growled the Uchiha as he suddenly fell over again, his balance lost again. Don't bother, Uchiha. Your eardrums are damaged, your sense of balance is gone, said the ninja nonchalantly. Sasuke's eyes shot to his struggling pink-haired teammate, who was being held up by her long hair. Sakura winced in pain as the other Kunoichi pulled harder on her hair in anger. A sudden twist by the Konoha Kunoichi saw kunai cutting off the majority of her hair, before she rolled away to safety. Give up, trash. You're no match for us, continued the bandaged ninja, raising his arm up again. The collective group of genin froze as a wave of malevolent chakra exploded outwards from the nearby cave. A shadowed figure walked out slowly, his body covered by a mixture of purple and red flames, a tail made of pure chakra waving behind him. Naruto. The blonde genin stepped into the clearing, the light casting away the shadows that covered his appearance. The whiskers on his cheeks had darkened into wide gashes, while swirling black tattoos danced across the side of his face. The sound ninja Dosu took a hesitant step back from the intimidating figure, instantly recognizing the distinct signs of Lord Orochimaru's curse seal. But this was perhaps the most frightening incarnation he'd ever witnessed. The short genin had grown claws from his fingertips, and when the blonde opened his eyes, the sound Nin took another fearful step backwards. The eyes were terrifying crimson orbs, the pupils slit unnaturally. Why, growled out the rage-induced shinobi, his body shaking in anger. Are you hurting my team? Naruto moved faster than his Sharingan eyes could follow, pinning the leader to the wall by his neck. Before he could shout out a warning, Naruto lashed out at the sneaking form of Zaku. The ninja Sasuke took out first. The limp form flew through the air before crashing into the ground, unmoving. You bastards, continued Naruto, squeezing the bandaged ninja's neck harder and harder. Naruto. Sharingan eyes met crimson. Let him go, said the Uchiha softly. Naruto was acting wrong. The blonde cocked his head curiously. Why should I? He's not worth our time, let him go. Naruto grinned savagely before throwing the choking ninja down violently. Whatever you say, team, said the Uzumaki, before he turned to the terrified sound Nin. Hurt my precious people again. An explosion of killer intent emanated from the blonde. And I'll kill you. The terrified form of Kin nodded rapidly as she threw her earth scroll at the blonde's feet, before grabbing the unconscious bodies of her teammates and running away as fast as she could carry them. Now, Naruto? Came the quiet voice of Sakura, her body hunched and in pain. The flames and dark energy swirling around the Uzumaki slowly dissipated into nothingness as he watched the sound Nin run away. Hey Sakura-chan, said Naruto quietly, are you K? Hi, team? I'm K, continued the blonde quietly, as he picked up the fallen earth scroll. Let's go, guys. The Sandaime Hokage could count on his hands how many times he had been truly surprised since he took the office of Hokage. His student's betrayal, the death of Minato-kun, and now the ragged form of his favorite genin came stumbling into the tower, his trademark orange jacket missing, while his entire body was covered in blood. Sarutobi felt his pipe fall from his lips, and he was forced to resist the urge to immediately run down and check on his surrogate grandson. The Sandaime winced in sympathy at how run down the Uzumaki looked, along with his teammates. Congratulations on passing the second exam. Before we proceed, however, I will inform you of the true purpose of the Chunin exams, said the wizened Hokage to the group of genin. While true that this is a chance at promotion, the exams serve another purpose. A replacement for war between nations. Ignoring the incredulous looks of the genin, he continued, the third exam will showcase your talents to potential clients, as your skill will determine your village's future contracts. However, seeing as how there are too many genin here, you will be participating in a preliminary match to determine those who will move on to the next event. Are there any who do not wish to continue? Questioned the Hokage to the group. Quick came the soft voice of Yakushi Kabuto, raising his hand. The Hokage nodded in acknowledgement to the adopted son of Konoha's head medical doctor. Anyone else? No? Very well, then opponents will be chosen at random. The collective group of genin looked at each other warily. The teams consisted of teams 7, 8, and 9, along with the team from Suna, and the two remaining teammates of Kabuto. The first two participants are Akata Yoroi and Uchiha Sasuke. Are you prepared? Hi, begin. Yoroi burst quickly into motion as he tried to get closer to the Uchiha. His ability to drain chakra needed to be close. The Konoha spy quickly noticed that despite the obvious pain the genin was, the Uchiha did not have Orochimaru-sama's curse seal. He'd have to work quickly if The genin collapsed to the ground as Sasuke blurred in front of him, his Sharingan spinning. You're weaker than I expected, said the Uchiha haughtily. Yoroi tried to stand before he collapsed in pain to his knees, the distinct feelings of blood dripping down both his legs. Wah, I sliced your tendons, you were just too slow to realize it, Hokage-sama. This fight is over. The Hokage looked at the fallen form of the other genin before quickly announcing his victory. Sarutobi watched with interest as the young Uchiha immediately leapt up to the balcony to check on his blonde teammate, ignoring the congratulations he was receiving. Interesting. The next fight will be between Inuzuka Kiba and Uzumaki Naruto. Will the competitors come down to the arena? The Inuzuka bounded carelessly off the railing while Naruto limped quickly down the stairs. Looking at Naruto with concern, the Hokage continued, begin. Kiba stared at his academy friend with concern before speaking. Yo Naruto, you alright, man? You don't look so good, and ya reek of blood. Akamaru barked in agreement. It's nothing, dog breath, come at me with all you got. Laughed Naruto painfully, as he massaged his shoulder painfully. It's your funeral, Naruto. I won't go easy on you, said Kiba loudly as he shifted his weight carefully. I'll finish this with one shot. Watching from above, the Jounin senseis of Teams 7 and 8 paid close attention to the fight. Naruto, eh? He doesn't stand a chance, Kakashi said, the Genjutsu mistress, Kurinai. Kakashi cocked an eyebrow at his fellow Jounin, but before he could respond he was cut off. There's no way Naruto can lose to that idiot, came the distinct voice of Uchiha Sasuke. His attention fully focused on the two in the arena. All eyes, however, focused on him. Naruto, he's just as strong as me. Kakashi looked at his genin interested. What had happened in the forest that caused Sasuke to say such a thing? Noticing Sakura's vehement nod of agreement, the copy Nin turned towards his prankster student, before raising his headband from his Sharingan eye. Perhaps it was time to learn more about his cute little student. Naruto watched as Kiba sped towards him quickly, his arm outstretched ready to punch. The Uzumaki would have grinned if the pain in his shoulder weren't so great. Kiba was slow. The Uzumaki twisted around the attack, executing a spinning kick in the process. The crowd watched in shock as the dog using ninja flew brutally into the wall. A flash of pain in his neck, however, brought the Uzumaki down to one knee. What the hell was this tattoo doing to him? Kakashi's eyes widened as he noticed a familiar seal adorning his genin's neck. Enko had reported earlier that Orochimaru was in Konoha, but there had been no mention of a curse seal being placed. A flurry of Umbu hand signals alerted the Hokage to the situation, who upon realizing circumstances responded quickly. Do not interfere unless the seal is activated. Be prepared. What the hell? Since when have you been that fast, Naruto? Questioned Kiba painfully as he climbed out of the crater in the wall. Naruto stood up shakily and gave the barest of shrugs as he threw an easily dodged kunai. Well, it's time I take you seriously then, Naruto, injured or not. Akamaru, you ready? Called out Kiba, tossing a soldier pill at the puppy. Let's transform. A burst of smoke flew from their bodies, revealing two bestial-looking Kibas, their teeth and claws elongated. Dodge this! Growled the Kiba on the right as he threw a pair of smoke bombs at the blonde ninja, Getsuga. The two spun at incredible speeds, turning into human-slash-dog drills, flying rapidly through the air. An explosion burst forth from the smoke, sending shattered rock flying through the area. The collective groups of Genin and Jounin watched with interest as the smoke slowly disappeared. Was it over? The prone bodies of Kiba and his partner appeared motionless on the ground, their bodies blackened with soot. A puff of smoke came from across the arena as Naruto broke the henge he was holding. "Winner, Uzumaki Naruto," said the Hokage proudly, as he watched his surrogate grandson tiredly make his way back up to the arena. Kakashi covered his Sharingan eye, and I smiled with his other. He was impressed with the level of improvement his genin showed, and the shocked look on his genjutsu-wielding comrade was simply a bonus. "What the hell just happened?" came the curious question from Ino, the blonde Yamanaka, confused at how her fellow blonde won. The match was really short, with perhaps only 3 attacks being used. "He was a clone the entire time," came the lazy response from Shikamaru, his eyebrows furrowed in thought. Naruto must have realized that his body couldn't take much damage after getting hurt in the forest, so he immediately hinged into a kunai. That was why he only threw the one after he kicked Kiba. "I'm not sure how he caused that explosion though." Explosive notes, came the quick reply from Tenten, the weapons user impressed at her new friend's appearance. "Naruto-kun is scary good with explosives." "So when Kiba attacked the clone," boom, said newly arrived Naruto, grinning cheekily. "Good job, Naruto," said Kakashi, proudly ruffling his student's hair. "Now stop that, Kakashi-sensei, you're being a weirdo," complained Naruto, before he covered up his neck gingerly. "Kakashi-sensei, I got to talk to you about." The blonde trailed off. "Hi, follow me, Naruto-kun. We'll take care of you." "Good work," said Kakashi, smiling. Hidden across the Uzumaki, Orochimaru watched with interest from the shadows as the copy nin took the blonde away. "So that's the container, hmm?" The snake Sennin whispered to himself, admonishing himself for not realizing it earlier. "I wonder." Orochimaru grinned savagely as an idea suddenly struck him. Maybe, just maybe, he wondered, what kind of vessel would a Jinchuriki make? Kukukuku. Zaraki stumbled as he supported the tired body of Mimura Hamaki, the Jounin commander of the now fallen outpost. The Namikaze winced at the strong coppery scent that covered the injured man as he half carried, half dragged the older soldier into the dark underbrush. The time traveler could feel his hands shaking as the events of the past 24 hours flashed through his mind. The entire outpost was nothing but smoldering ruins. While he knew that Genma and a few other Konoha shinobi had escaped, the destroyed outpost was at one of the farthest edges of the Land of Fire's borders. Even at top speed, the journey to Konoha was around a week. Carrying injured, and outrunning an invasion, there was no guarantee Konoha would get their warning. Naruto grimaced as he felt the hot, molten chakra of the Kyuubi healing his body. His mind, however, felt like he'd taken a Chidori to the temple. All those memories. Kagabunshin. If you were to ask a Konoha shinobi before the fall, what was Uzumaki Naruto's signature technique, they'd immediately reply with the shadow clone technique. After the fall, however, Naruto refused to use the technique. When the snake bastard possessed him, the Sannin created an army of epic proportions. Every single kill, every last expression, every friend he ever had, he saw himself kill them all. Needless to say, it fucked up the 16-year mind of one Uzumaki Naruto. So when he was forced to use the technique again, everything came flashing back. 10 hours previous, go warn Konoha. "I will cover your escape," said the ninja forcefully as he rested his massive sword on his shoulder. The Senbon chewing ninja gave a single terse nod of acknowledgement. "Good luck." Naruto turned back towards the burning outpost. Channeling chakra to his feet, the ninja leapt forward with a burst of speed. An army of clones followed in his wake. "Kill them all. Let's fucking do this, Kaki. Leave no survivors." The blonde Namikaze leapt gracefully over the burning corpses that hung messily across the shattered remnants of the wall. Hefting his sword up, the blonde brought it crashing down on an unaware sound ninja, body eviscerated by the single strike. Naruto pushed past the body as he stabbed the chest of an older sound ninja, penetrating through his Jounin vest and exiting out the back. Out of the corner of his eye, Naruto watched as his army of shadow clones crashed into the enemy forces, pushing back the invading force with their sheer numbers. Naruto spun around, and quickly caught the stabbing arm of a sound chunin. "Pay attention, mortal!" roared the Kyuubi from within his mind. Violet eyes flashed crimson as he glared at the offending shinobi. The sound ninja was young, his shaggy black hair laced with blood, his eyes wide with fear. "Why, you bastard!" Naruto winced. A young dark-haired shinobi stared up at him from the ground, his eyes filled with hate and fear. "Why, you bastard!" growled the boy, the red clan tattoos on his cheeks barely visible behind the torrent of blood and tears running down his face. The still form of a large white creature lay motionless behind him. Naruto felt his mouth twist into a sadistic smile as he placed a foot firmly on the broken shinobi's chest and raised his blood-stained blade above his. "Die, leaf scum!" Naruto burst into motion as past and present collided, breaking the arm he held and slamming his other fist into the exposed stomach of his opponent. As the Otonin keeled over in pain, the Namikaze wrapped his arm around the neck of the teen and twisted. The body of the shinobi fell limply to the ground. "God damn it, focus, kid! Stop getting distracted!" came the angry voice of Zabuza from within his blade. Moving on, Naruto went to help an overwhelmed Jounin, the older man wielding a blood-stained tanto. "Down!" yelled the Namikaze as he flung his blade in front of him, the massive blade cleaving through a group of enemy Chunin with ease. The Konoha Jounin gave a quick nod of thanks as he focused on the few remaining shinobi around him. Racing through the chaotic fort of death, the time traveler ripped the Kubikiri Hocho from the side of a destroyed building as he moved further into the fray. Teshi Sendan! Yelled a sickly-sounding shinobi, as bullets made of bone burst from his fingertips towards the sword-wielding shinobi. The Namikaze growled as he swung his blade in front of him, deflecting the high-speed projectiles away from his body. He staggered, however, when the memories of a clone crashed into his head. Monster, monster, whispered the soft, hoarse voice of the genin in front of him. He felt his hands gripping the neck of the small shinobi in the air slowly tighten. Blood dripped out of the boy's mouth onto the blue scarf he held wrapped around his neck. How could Yu. The Namikaze cursed painfully as a bone spike slammed itself into his shoulder. His body barely reacted in time to avoid a killer blow. Gripping the spike tightly, Naruto ripped it savagely out of his body before throwing it to the side. For a bastard from the Leaf Village, you are surprisingly resilient, came the sickly voice of his opponent. Your comrades, however, are nothing but weak trash. Naruto locked eyes with the white-haired teen in front of him. The servant of Orochimaru shifted, and a blade made entirely of bone shot out of his hand, piercing the body of a fallen Konoha shinobi in the back. Weak, the time traveler felt time stand still as he watched the dying throes of the Konoha Chunin. Sounds of death and battle disappeared as he focused on the shinobi in front of him. That heartless bastard, he was just like that fucking snake. Bathe me in blood, my apprentice, fuck the bastard up. For that, whispered Naruto quietly, his words unheard in the chaos around him. You die. Naruto charged the Kagaya. Moving at near impossible speeds, he slammed his blade into the crossed arms of his opponent, before sending a powerful kick into the teen's chest. The force of the powerful blow sent the sound ninja flying back. Pressing his advantage, Naruto closed the distance between the two, swinging his sword violently. The crashing sound of steel on bone was sickening, as the hastily made blade of bone cracked on impact. Dance of the Camellia, grunted the Kagaya angrily, as short blades made of bone appeared in his hands. Tell me, what is the name of the trash I shall be disposing of today? I am Kimimaro, of the dreaded Kagaya CLA. You talk too much. Kimimaro flipped backwards, avoiding the deadly blade that nearly took his head off. The Kagaya spun the twin blades in his hands as he studied his opponent. The blonde shinobi of Konoha was drenched in blood along with his massive sword. This was not an opponent to take lightly. Futon, Kaze no Yaiba, growled out Naruto as he let loose multiple blades of wind at his opponent. Dodging the reflexive bone bullets, the Namikaze pulled out a set of kunai with his free hand. Naruto twisted around the spear that whistled past his head and jumped into the air, flinging the kunai in his hand at the sound ninja. A cacophony of explosions sounded as the explosive tags on the blades went off, the shockwave sending the bone-wielding ninja into a crater. Naruto suddenly threw his left arm in front of him, the metal gauntlet on his forearm blocking the swinging blade of the Kagaya. The shinobi, unaffected by the explosive tags, appeared in front of the Namikaze with a burst of speed. The Namikaze dodged the quick jabs that Kimimaro attacked him with. His massive blade was useless against the quick flurry of attacks the Kagaya was using. You're better than that other sword-using trash I killed earlier, said Kimimaro mockingly, slashing at the Namikaze violently. But if him and his weak comrades wanted to walk straight into the heart of the master's lair, I imagine Orochimaru-sama will have fun experimenting on them. The time traveler glared at the other shinobi angrily. It seemed like Yugogo and the rest of the team was captured, and at least one of them was killed. This wasn't supposed to fucking happen. It was his fault the team was assigned out here in the first place, and if more people died because of him. Naruto growled as he slammed the Kagaya with the flat side of his blade, sending the team tumbling backwards into a battered wall. The damaged part of the fort came crashing down, burying the Otonin under a heap of burning wood. An explosion of bones burst from underneath the pile of timber, revealing the angry form of the sound ninja beneath. You'll pay for that trash. Kimimaro felt a presence suddenly appear behind him, killing intent emanating from its figure. Blocking the surprise attack, the Otonin glared at the bloody form of the Konoha Jounin commander, Mimura Hamaki, his twin blades penetrating through both palms of the shinobi. Kimimaro froze as he felt the Jounin grip his hands tightly, immobilizing the two shinobi. It's not me you should be worried about, quipped the aging shinobi painfully, as he held fast to the invader, his hands still stuck on the blades of bone. What did the Kagaya was cut off by a swirling blue sphere of pure chakra grinding into his back, forcing him into the ground. Naruto stood over the fallen shinobi, a Rasengan in hand. The pure destructive energy of the jutsu made the hairs on the older Jounin's neck rise, as it sent waves of power around the shinobi. The older Jounin stared in shock. That's the Rasen. Get back! Roared Naruto as he threw the other Jounin back harshly, a bone spear flying out of the ground where he just stood. The Namikaze stepped back as dark, malevolent energy exploded from the fallen shinobi. The Kagaya rose from the ground unsteadily as he activated his cursed seal, his appearance taking on a twisted demonic form. Ivory spikes burst from the Kagaya's back, as layers of bones slowly formed armor all across his body. That's twice now I've had to use the master's gift because of Konoha trash, came the demonic voice of the Kagaya, as he took a step towards the Namikaze, prepared to die. Naruto dove aside as he avoided the bone spears the Kagaya flung at him. Stabbing his blade into the earth, the Namikaze's hands blurred through more than 60 hand signs in seconds. Futon, Tatsu no Ashigoto. A massive tornado formed in front of Naruto as he prepared the second part of his combination technique. The Namikaze was forced to pull out his sword, however, as the bone-using ninja flew through the wind technique, unaffected by its power. Tesenka no Mai, Tsuru! Screamed the sickly ninja, as he pulled his spinal cord out of his back. The blood-covered bone shifted into a deadly whip that cracked the air as it elongated and wrapped itself around the Namikaze. Tesenka no Mai, Hana! Kimimaro twisted his body as a massive bone drill formed around his entire right arm, enhanced with the demonic chakra of the cursed seal. Die trash! The earth shook as the technique slammed into the immobilized body of the Namikaze, the sheer power of the attack causing nearby burning buildings to collapse from the shock. Kimimaro coughed violently as he stared at the corpse that hung from the edge of his blade. Satisfaction filled the Otonin as the body slowly slid off his blade burst into smoke. You missed, asshole, came a quiet voice from behind the Kagaya. Impossible. Kimimaro stopped, as a massive blade burst from his chest, the blade somehow passing through his impenetrable bone armor. Naruto kicked the body off of his blade, watching as the Kagaya fell to the ground limply. His eyes flashed from crimson back to violet. Fucking bastard, growled Naruto softly. Noticing Mimura struggle to rise, the time traveler moved to the commander's side. You alright? Asked the Namikaze as he lifted the Jounin up carefully. Naruto ignored the quiet of the battlefield. It seemed like the invading sound ninja had given the bone-wielding ninja space to work, preferring to attack the dwindling Konoha forces away from the Kagaya. The Jounin commander winced as he was hefted upwards. The bone fucker took me by surprise earlier, glad to see you finished him off. We need to. Naruto froze. His gaze flashed back to the body of the bone-wielding ninja. Grab onto me, Sawarabi no Mai. The ground rumbled and shook as chakra flooded the area from the Kagaya. Suddenly the earth itself exploded as pillars of sharpened bone burst from the ground, destroying the entire fort in seconds. Kimimaro lay motionless at the epicenter of the massive bone forest, his eyes staring at the stars in the night sky. I'm sorry I failed them, master. And so the last of the Kagaya clan died, as the blood of enemies and allies alike slowly dripped down his bone legacy. Naruto and company appeared suddenly in a crimson flash, crashing into the ground, miles north of the fort. The injured Jounin commander had collapsed from the sudden exposure of demonic chakra, while Naruto gazed at his familiar surroundings. It had been over 3 years since he'd walked these particular woods, but the Namikaze knew he'd never forget this fucking forest. The heart of Rice Country, the future hidden village of sound. And where everything had gone horribly, horribly wrong. Konoha, Uzumaki, Naruto groaned as he woke up suddenly. Slowly raising his body off the uncomfortable bed, the Uzumaki winced at the flash of pain that came from his shoulder. Oh yeah? Weird hickey tattoo of death, awesome. Twisting his head back, the blonde looked at the blood-colored symbols that now circled his creepy doom tattoo. It's the Fujihoin, the evil sealing method, came a booming voice from beside him. And Nani? Who the hell are you? Shouted Naruto, shocked at the white-haired figure that sat nonchalantly in his hospital window. I'll forego my usual introduction, Gaki, name's Jiraiya. I'm one of Old Man Hokage's students. Cool? Said Naruto quizzically, his face scrunched up in confusion. Why are you watching me sleep, old man? That's kinda creepy. You're not one of those weirdo old guys that Irika-sensei told me about. Cause he said to stab the genitals first and ask questions later, but I had to ask what genitals were, so sensei started telling weird stories about how birds and bees wrestle in order to make babies and… By Kami, stop and breathe, kid, exclaimed the Sannin, looking at the animated blonde in exasperation. Ignoring your rant on genitals, the Hokage wanted me to suppress the curse seal on your shoulder. See curse seal? Whispered Naruto, his face itself draining of color. Yup. It's my old teammate's invention, massive power boost, very dangerous, don't use it ever, blah blah blah. I think you understand the idea. However, it seems like my ex-teammate has perfected his design. It's directly tied into your chakra system. The harder you try to remove it, the more chakra it leaches to compensate. Really? Exclaimed Naruto as he turned his head sharply in a vain attempt to get a better look at the dormant seal. But doesn't the odd-numbered swirly bits mean it exchanges energy rather than just sucking it out? Isn't that like the main mostest important part of one of them conversion seals? Why would you make a conversion seal that don't convert nothing? And how come it gives you power? I don't get it. Jiraiya froze in his tracks, staring at the yammering blonde with interest. While the genin's terminology left a lot to be desired, the kid had the right idea. Now that he thought about it, the damn brat was right. It was so simple he had completely overlooked it. The cursed seal wasn't a ticking time bomb of malevolent chakra. It was actually converting the natural chakra of its host into some sort of bastardized form of senjutsu. That was the key. It also explained why his first theory that the Kyuubi would burn out the seal didn't work. The Yondame's seal only allowed for a certain amount of the demon's chakra to circulate throughout the boy's system, not nearly enough to overwhelm nature chakra. Who taught you about sealing? Was it Sarutobi-sensei? Asked Jiraiya curiously. Huh? Who? I just messed around with some explosive tags that Panda-chan showed me how to make. Suri, the stupid Umbu guys got mad at me blowing up the forest, but what else was I gonna do? Read a book? Never. Wait. Wait a second, the Chunin exams. Did I miss them? Shouted the blonde ninja, flinging his body off the hospital bed, falling on the floor in a tangle of blankets and medical equipment. You taught yourself? With explosive notes? Duh, I just said that. Now answer the damn question, old man. Did I miss the exams? Shouted Naruto loudly, his eyes dilated with panic. You're fine, Gaki. The final exam isn't for another month. You've only been in the hospital for a couple of days. Now, if you're done freaking out, continued Jiraiya, cutting off the blonde's antics, I'll be training you up for the next 30 days. You have a difficult fight ahead of you. You'll be fighting Sabaka no Gara, Jinchuriki of Shikaku, said the toad-wielding ninja solemnly, as he watched his future apprentice carefully. Shukaku? No thanks, I'm not into that. You might want to try Sasuke team, he might like getting kicked there. Jiraiya could only sigh in defeat. The rising sun blazed a trail across the cloudless sky of Konoha, its sweltering heat causing the normally bustling village to crawl into a near standstill. For many, the temperature was a convenient excuse to relax. Teams of genin half-heartedly trained in the shade, while many of the Chunin on guard relaxed around their posts. It was the picturesque scene of peace. However, located within the confines of Training Ground 10, a ponytailed blonde angrily practiced against one of the training logs. Yamanaka Ino was upset. The young blonde had thought she was a skilled kunoichi, one of the best female fighters in the academy. But here she was, knocked out of the kami-forsaken Chunin exams. She'd lost to her former best friend and longtime rival. Well, technically, they both had lost. Double knockout. It was a pretty pathetic showing according to her annoying teammate Shika. Ino knew that despite her own loud protests to the contrary, Sakura should have won the fight. The pink-haired girl had attacked her with an intensity and confidence she'd never seen in her best friend/rival. If the young Yamanaka didn't change her ways, she was going to get left behind. And to the competitive blonde, that was completely unacceptable. The kunoichi let loose a small whimper of pain as she violently attacked the training post in front of her. Breathing heavily, the blonde girl dropped her tired body down at the edge of the clearing, her back resting upon a tree. Letting loose a disgruntled sigh, Ino started to bandage her bleeding knuckles, plucking out splinters of wood as she did so. Shit! Cried out a panicked voice from behind the resting blonde. Why do I always get stuck with the crazy teachers? An orange blur came crashing out of the treetops into the clearing of Training Ground 10, the battered body of Konoha's resident prankster struggling to get to his feet. Naruto was covered in a combination of blood, dirt, and grime, while his trademark jumpsuit was torn to shreds. His entire jacket was missing, leaving only a tattered black shirt on his body. The boy's headband hung loose around his neck as the sweat-soaked strands of blonde hair clung to his face. Naruto Baka? What the hell are you? Started Ino before Naruto lunged at the girl, covering her mouth with his hand. Don't make a sound, K? Whispered Naruto harshly, his eyes wide with panic. My new sensei is trying to kill me. He's worse than Riki sensei. Believe it, Ino growled angrily and bit down on the Jinchuriki's hand. Awo! What the heck was that for you, psycho? Are you trying to get me killed? Hissed the male blonde painfully, as he shook his bleeding hand vigorously. Psycho? You're the one who tackled me out of nowhere, you knucklehead. I was trying to escape a gruesome death. Liar! No one's trying to kill you. Except for me, that is. R2. My new sensei is crazy. He's been trying to kill me all day. Shouted Naruto indignantly. The old pervert's gonna kill me. I know it. Then why don't you prove it? Liar, said Ino, crossing her arms across her chest expectantly. Fine. I will, said Naruto with determination, his stubborn nature not allowing him to back down from the challenge. Walking to the edge of the training ground, the blonde dramatically pointed his finger into the wood line. Bring it on, Ero Sennin! Yelled Naruto. I ain't afraid of you. The blonde's voice echoed throughout the heat of the morning sun. Nothing, said the Uzumaki sheepishly, scratching the back of his head embarrassed. Maybe he got lost? Ino rolled her eyes at her fellow blonde's antics as she brushed the dirt off her outfit. How you made it to the third exam and I didn't is beyond me, complained Ino loudly. It's embarrassing. Sakura-chan won? Exclaimed Naruto excitedly. I haven't seen nobody yet. The old pervert took me out of the village to train. I haven't seen anybody in weeks. Oh man, I gotta go get her a present. What about a cake? Sakura-chan likes cake, right? I thought the cake was a lie, but Kakashi-sensei said that was never proven and that I shouldn't talk about village secrets like that, and Naruto ducked under an exasperated swipe from the Yamanaka. Sakura didn't win either, you idiot. It was a double knockout, nobody won. Oh really? Who's gonna be in the final whatchamacallit test thingy? You're not gonna go away, are you? Nope, laughed Naruto cheekily. Gah. Fine. Gave up Ino, throwing her hands up in frustration. You're in it, obviously. And then there's Sasuke-kun. Shika's lazy ass made it to him. There's also Niji. I'm pretty sure he's Hinata's cousin or something, and Shino won his match as well. There's also the entire team from Suna. They pretty much dominated the competition. The redhead really messed up the guy in the green jumpsuit, Lee, I think? He's in the Hospita. What? Why didn't anyone tell me brows got messed up? Now I'm definitely kicking what's-his-face their face. Gara. Yeah, that guy. Ino rolled her eyes again at the blonde's antics. Seriously. What an idiot. The kunoichi glanced towards her unwanted companion. It was weird seeing the Uzumaki without all the orange. If the idiot didn't open his mouth, he almost looked like a normal person. Weird. If she was being honest with herself, if Naruto lost his jacket more often, kept his hair down, and showed off his tattoo more often, then Ino froze. There, underneath the tattered remains of her fellow blonde's shirt, was an odd three-pronged tattoo partially hidden on his right shoulder. "When'd you get that?" yelled the Yamanaka, pointing at the Uzumaki. "Eh?" was Naruto's eloquent reply. "That tattoo!" Naruto's eyes widened in shock, his hands immediately covering his torso, panic evident in his eyes. "Wait," Ino's eyes narrowed, "you have another tattoo? What the hell, Naruto? Since when were you such a rebel?" Well?" asked Ino, tapping her foot impatiently. "I was drunk." Ino resisted the urge to choke her fellow blonde. "Must resist. Can't. Help. Must. Kill. Ino? Are you okay, Okami? Not you too?" screeched Naruto in panic, as he dove under Ino's assassination attempt. "Why is everybody I know freaking crazy? I'll show you, crazy baka. Get back, demon! Get back! The power of ramen compels you. The power of ramen compels you. How you feeling, chief?" asked Zaraki to the resting form of Mimura Hamaki, as he finished wrapping the Jounin commander's wounds. "Like shit, give me the sitrep," grimaced the older man. "We've got a village-sized force headed straight to Konoha, sir. The vanguard force attacking the rice outpost seemed to consist of their heavy-hitting shinobi. I've been able to confirm at least one brigade-sized element is en route to Konoha. Current rate of travel has them arriving outside the gates right before the start of the Chunin exams," rattled off Zaraki, easily reverting to his experience with after-action reports in the Hunter Corps. Enemy personnel are identified by a single music note on their forehead protector, and refer to themselves as the Sound Village. Zaraki's fists clenched in anger at the mere mention of the village. "According to the bone shinobi I killed earlier, the remnants of my team have been captured by the enemy and are currently being detained inside of their village. Given the current situation, I recommend we attempt a rescue. It's too late for us to get to Konoha before the other bastards do, but we have a higher probability of success in rescuing Captain Yugogo and the rest of the squad, while the majority of the enemy are committed to the invasion." Mimura contemplated Zaraki's words carefully. The situation was fucked up beyond all reason. First, there was the destruction of an entire forward operating base along with most of the personnel guarding it. Then, there was the invasion force on its way to his home village, and an entire goddamn Ambu squad captured by an unknown village. And finally, he was deep in enemy territory, wounded, and his only ally was a probationary shinobi of Konoha whose skill set was not only extremely skilled, but also highly suspicious. "Do you have any idea of where the enemy is keeping Sigma Squad?" "Roger," said the Namikaze. "I've located the entrance to where the enemy is keeping Sigma. They're approximately 3,000 meters north by northeast. Looks like the facility is primarily underground, with only a few Chunin squads on patrol, 5 squads of 5. Chakra signatures indicate one high Jounin and another Chunin squad guarding the inside. That's all my clone was able to get before it was forced to dispel, sir." "That's good work," said Mimura, casting a questioning eyebrow at the blonde. "I was a hunter nin once, sir. It's what I'm good at." "That wasn't on your file, kid," said the commander lightly, massaging his temples. "You're the first to know, old man." The commander cast a contemplative gaze upon the Namikaze. There was no doubt the blonde had his secrets, but there were larger priorities right now. While the Namikaze was definitely hiding something, so far his actions have proved he was at least committed to the protection of Konoha, saving multiple leaf nin, and even his own life from the deadly bone shinobi. "All right then," grimaced the commander as he stood up from his resting spot. "I'll follow your lead, Namikaze. Let's go save Sigma." "You should have left the old fuck back where you found him, Gaki. He's gonna be a liability," growled the raspy voice of Zabuza in the confines of Naruto's head. "He's an extra set of eyes, sensei," retorted Naruto to his longtime companion. "I'd rather not get trapped underground fighting an army if I can avoid it." "Bah! I laugh in your general direction. I would slaughter any army with a mere flick of my tail." "Yeah? What about that one guy who sealed you into the brat, huh? Was one mortal too much for the big scary fox?" "That doesn't count. I threw that fight on purpose." "So? You still fucking lost, loser." "Ha, you dare." Ignoring the voices in his head, the time traveler slowly made his way through the rice fields that covered the countryside. Wading through the waist-high water, the former hunter quietly picked his way through the dense crops of growing rice. The first of the enemy patrols slowly made its way in front of him. Leaving his sword strapped to his back, Naruto pulled out the only kunai he had on him. His father's. Moving silently behind the rearmost sound nin, Naruto reached around, and in one fluid motion, covered the shinobi's nose and mouth, stabbed the kunai down into the trachea and tore out the unsuspecting ninja's throat. As he sealed the body into a summoning scroll, a shadow clone burst silently into existence, taking the place of its now deceased counterpart. Naruto didn't worry too much about the clone's existence being discovered. The sound ninja hand signals were something he learned and memorized a long time ago. And while he hated the Sound Village and its shinobi with a passion, he acknowledged they were, for the most part, a professional fighting force. Excluding the higher profile, And crazier, Shinobi of Sound, the main forces were disciplined enough to communicate solely by hand signal while on mission, a contrast to the loud and animated antics of the majority of Konoha's forces. The entrance to the inner workings of the Sound Village was different from the last time he was here. Granted, he was here 4 years into the current timeline, but he could already see the foundations being set for the above-ground portion of the village. Where a tower would soon be built in the future, there was a large clearing, devoid of the rice paddies that surrounded it, and an unassuming shack that covered the hidden subterranean entrance to the budding village. A quick glance to the rear confirmed Jounin Commander Mimura Hamaki was in position. Acting as a lookout, the injured shinobi was 500 meters out, hidden on the edge of the tree line. His primary responsibility was to let off a signal if reinforcements came. Slipping into the seemingly innocent shack, the time traveler easily avoided the various traps set up in the building. A quick search revealed a hidden blood seal, which the Namikaze effortlessly circumvented using the blood of his most recent kill. A wooden panel silently opened. Naruto flinched. The smell of death rose from the ground, the sweet smell of corpses mixed with the coppery tang of blood. "Thank Kami, you gotta get me out of here." Naruto landed on top of the sentry with a solid thud, his blade separating the head of the shinobi from his body. The inner tunnels of the Sound Village were damp with moisture, and torches were used sparingly along its long halls. The scent of death grew ever stronger. "Hurry the fuck up, kid, something's wrong." Following the ominous advice of his semi-sane sensei, Naruto sprinted silently through the dark corridors of the base. Following his memories of the place, the shinobi made his way through the twists and turns of the base towards where the detention area was. Sliding to a halt, Naruto paused. This was it. Lying inside of multiple cells were the bloody and battered bodies of Sigma Squad. Naruto winced internally at the sight, before freezing suddenly. Where were the guards? "Something is very wrong." "Zizuraki?" croaked the raspy voice of one of the captured shinobi. "Don't move, I'm here to get you guys out," hissed the former missing nin. As suppressor demon CC cursed Arun. "We've got incoming." Naruto spun back towards the door as a snarling creature flung itself at the shinobi at impossible speeds. The blonde crashed to the ground as the beast screeched angrily at him, its bloodshot eyes widened with insanity. "Get off of me!" roared the Namikaze as he twisted out from underneath the flailing creature, tearing out its throat in the process. Naruto stared at the twitching body in shock. Hidden beneath the blood and contorted limbs of the creature were 3 marks he knew very well. Orochimaru's curse seal. "We need to get the fuck out of here. Break the chakra suppressor on the cells, kid. I have a feeling there's a lot more where that came from." As if to prove the sentient sword's point, the piercing screeches of more creatures echoed within the dark underground of the facility. Swinging the massive blade of Kubikiri Hocho, Naruto cut through the chakra-enhanced bars that contained Sigma. Pulling Kotetsu and Izumo to their feet, a quick headcount revealed Hate, Sigma's resident sword expert, was missing. "Hate? Dead. Killed protecting the captain from some freak with bones," came the hoarse voice of Izumo, as he lifted the limp body of Yugogo onto his shoulder. "Damn," cursed Naruto softly, "we need to move. Now." Howls of twisted anguish echoed loudly through the chambers, the feral growls and yells putting the Konoha shinobi on edge. "I think we just wore out our welcome." Jiraiya could honestly say he was surprised. Shocked, really. Or would flabbergasted be a better description? He didn't know. But what the Toad Sannin did know was that the loud-mouthed, idiotic, hyperactive, unpredictable, downright improbable genin in front of him was a genius. That boy was nothing like his father. He was better. Granted, the genin had a 10-second attention span on anything that didn't interest him, was louder than any shinobi had a right to be, and not to mention his kami-forsaken monstrosity of an outfit that no living being should ever wear, but the kid's instincts, the raw ability that the young Uzumaki possessed was outstanding. Absolutely unbelievable, totally awesome. He really need to expand his repertoire of words. Perhaps a thesaurus would be an excellent investment. Anyway, the boy's stealth skills were on par with his own. How the loud-mouthed, orange-clad genin was able to sneak up on him was beyond him. His taijutsu was nothing special, although his lightning-fast reflexes helped make up for his lack of any true style. With the amount of chakra the boy possessed, along with the Kyuubi in his gut, meant that the Konoha genin was destined to be a ninjutsu juggernaut in the near future. However, it was the art of Fuinjutsu where the Yandame's son's genius shined. The boy had an understanding of seals unlike any the Toad Sannin had ever met. Even Minato in his prime didn't have the ability to create seals on the fly like his son could. Explosive notes. That's how the damn brat taught himself. Jiraiya stared at the soot-covered body of his newest student as he lay panting on the ground. Training the kid for the past 3 weeks had been an eye-opening experience. This damn kid. His godson. His father would be proud. Need ramen dying Erosen help. On second thought. "Come on, brat, get up," exclaimed the Sannin. "Stop being dramatic, we've got work to do." Nothing. The blonde genin was comatose, his only movements being the occasional twitch of pain. "Huh," exclaimed Jiraiya sheepishly. "Maybe I went a tad overboard. What do you think, sensei?" The white-robed figure of the third Hokage materialized behind his student, his pipe in hand, as he gazed fondly upon the comatose form of his surrogate grandson. "I do believe," said the Sandame, turning towards the Toad Sannin, Konoha will be welcoming a new Chunin into its ranks come the end of the exams. Snorted Jiraiya in amusement. That's an understatement if I ever heard one. Indeed, I am very proud, said Sarutobi softly, as would his parents. The two stood silently in the clearing, both glancing towards the stone visage of the fourth Hokage. He'll be offered an Umbu slot after his promotion. Really, sensei? Is that wise? Despite his skills, he doesn't quite have the temperament for Black Ops yet, voiced Jiraiya to his former sensei. I believe the engineer corps will suit young Naruto-kun just fine. Jiraiya's eyes widened in shock. He'll be joining the sappers? Those aren't the sanest of shinobi, and their job is by no means easy, even by my standards. Despite popular belief, the Umbu Corps consisted of many different departments, all with their own specialties. The Hunter Corps were responsible for the elimination and retrieval of missing neens. The Umbu Honor Guard took care of high-profile escort jobs, while torture and interrogation spoke for themselves. All in all, there were 13 different departments, all part of the elusive organization known as the Umbu. The Engineer Corps, however, were considered the least glamorous department within the Umbu ranks. Their primary responsibilities were the horizontal and vertical construction of various outposts and bases on the front lines. Or as one former Umbu commander put it, goddamned glorified construction workers. However, within the Engineer Corps, there was a group capable of bringing an entire village to its knees, the Sappers. They were one of Konoha's oldest, proudest, and deadliest organizations. And arguably, the craziest. You think he'll be able to handle it, old man? The Sappers are no joke. He'll be at the front lines of every conflict we have. Hell, you of all people know their creed better than most. That I do, Jiraiya-kun, whispered the third Hokage, absent-mindedly rubbing a faded tattoo on his forearm. That I do. I fear Konoha will be in need of a village killer soon enough.